Friends of NRA is your chance to support our Second Amendment rights and preserve America's hunting traditions. Join Friends of NRA at one of our 600 exciting events nationwide. From games to auctions and exclusive firearms, Friends of NRA events are your chance to support a cause you care about while having a great time with patriots in your community. Whether you're a seasoned shooter, an avid hunter or outdoorsman, or passionate about freedom, there's a place for you within Friends of NRA. Visit friendsofnra.org to find an event near you. Stand up for freedom with the Friends of NRA.
A life that has the stories to back it. A life to be proud of. It's a Winchester life.
Yeah, baby. 6-8 Western. Oh, mule deer, baby, right there.
Tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on Waypoint TV.
Just be sitting up there jacked with Pepsi.
I'm there for the pack out. You just got to pack me in.
Committed to the bow early on. Like, I love getting close and putting up.
You cover a range of stuff on here too, right? Like,
We call this the THP World Headquarters.
You know, my grandpa Roy Weatherby.
I came into like that golden little pocket where there was like 4 or 5 different bulls. Just
You're Canadian? We're doing a Canadian podcast?
My name's Douglas Bode.
I'm Robbie Denning.
Roy Candy.
Thought you liked that, Pete.
Yeah.
You old bugger.
Yeah. Memory. Glasses as of next week.
Fuck.
oh
I
shit.
love it, dude. I love it. I love hearing that you're going through all this. You need glasses. So you need distance or reading?
Well,
Like
my
near-
exact conversation went, I almost brought my bow. Because of just trying to explain what I need, because it's a little bit of distance. It's a little bit.
So you're
like
gonna
my
bring
pin is
your
fuzzy.
bow into.
I was going to. I'm not shitting you. And when I
That would
walked
have
in
been
there,
fucking awesome if you'd have
Oh.
walked in there with
yeah.
your Hoyt and like,
Yeah.
this is what's up, Doc.
Okay,
He would have
so
been like,
yeah, he did his test, kind of checking, and it's nothing. I'm just on I just need them, but I need them. So there's like a couple tweaks for close and a couple tweaks for distance. And I was like, okay, here's the deal. I don't give a shit about daily life. I'm functioning just fine. I need to shoot my bow better. And he kind of looked at me. And I was like,
what did he say?
I
It
knew
ain't
I
your
should have
peep
brought
sight?
what I am big.
Pete, that's a bad mistake because I did the same thing, and then I started like feeling like I needed glasses all the time. It was to shoot like 100 yards, 120 yards.
Yeah.
And then I didn't need glasses, but it just made it a little bit crispier at 100, 120. And oh man, once you start going down that road, there's no going back, man. Then you take them off, you actually start noticing how shitty your vision is. You're like, oh man, this is like terrible.
Yeah. So where he ended up, it was like a happy medium, because like I had to explain the whole process of, looking at your target, looking at your pins. And I was like, he's like, well, how far apart are these? And I held out my arm and I was like, there.
Yeah.
Turned my head sideways and I was like, that's my problem right there, is those pins are getting a little fuzzy as I'm focusing in on the target at the end. And then he's like, well, how clear does the target have to be at the very end? And I was like, well,
Crystal
I'm not
clear.
worried about crystal clear. I was like, but I'm not worried about like super far, like 60 yards. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm looking for that crease in the shade in the 3D shoots and stuff like that. And I was like, when it comes to hunting, depending on the situation, I'm not aiming at an itty bitty tiny spot. Well, I am, but I've got this much to hit.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, most
yeah.
of competitions that are official that I actually care about for next year, it's 40 yards or less. So I'm more worried about just being able to see 40 yards and being able to focus in on that little pin and kind of see both equally, so to speak.
Yeah.
So one's not too fuzzy. Like, it's like, I know you can't make it perfect, but a little bit better is all I care about.
Yeah.
Is what
They
it is.
can't. So like, I wore glasses pretty much my whole life, and then I got my eyes done.
Yeah.
And then yeah, it's like your near vision goes.
Yeah.
Slowly goes. But then it wasn't bad. Like my left eye is like, I got that piece of metal in my eye, and it fucked things up, but it's slowly getting better. So I took, that verifier, took it out. I'm not even using it anymore.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really good.
And
Yeah,
how?
but they said
how
that
is
was
it?
they said there's a good chance that's going to happen. It could take up to 6 months to a year. So,
Okay. And how clear is it now?
well, the pin's a lot. Like before, I couldn't even see the pin at all,
Yeah.
and now I can see the pin, but it's blurry. But I don't care because the target's clear.
Gotcha.
Like having a fuzzy pin in front of a target, a clear, crystal clear target, is fine with me because it's not always like if you're focusing on the like if I put I need reading glasses, right? No matter how much I fight it, like because I can read like, well, I don't know, like this piece of paper's a foot away from me is good, but anything closer than that is no good. So like the pins are still clear if I focus on the pins now. They're getting clearer. But I've also noticed my near vision in my right eyes or my vision's getting a little bit back to normal where it was before, which they said could happen. They said it could take up to a year for it to go back to like to be 100%. So now I can see the pins. They're just a little fuzzy.
Yeah. So if these don't work, they're progressives.
Well, are you going to shoot with the glasses?
I don't know.
You can't shoot with the glasses if progressive because you're going to be looking through I mean, you can shoot with glasses, but progressives are only progressive down at the bottom, right? So like the idea is like when you're reading a piece of paper, you move your eyes, not your head. And
that's not going to work.
That's not going to work when you're shooting.
No. Either way, I need them for
tilt your head back.
Yeah, well, we'll see how those work because I've talked to a couple of guys that had the same issue, and they just got contacts or glasses.
Do you have any glasses?
No, I don't. This will be my.
I can't wait to fucking. You're gonna come on the show and you're like your glasses are gonna be like
glasses like this too. I'm gonna guarantee.
Like they're just like down by your nose, halfway down your nose.
I actually asked if I could get what are they called the monocles? There's the singles with the chain. I could just put them in my pocket.
Well, that'd be pretty cool. But
yeah, it'd be badass. I'd wear a fucking suit to the 3D shoots just so I could put those in there.
Well, it's better to look good than to shoot good. I've said that this whole time.
Yeah, so I've talked to a few people before too, and the progressives didn't work for them for shooting. So what they did is they either got a separate set of glasses or contacts that was for distance. It fixed their.
So you do need your distance is blurry.
It's not both a tiny bit, like a little bit. There's nothing bad.
Fuck, dude, you're just getting old. Get over it. Like,
well, yeah,
you're not a spring chicken anymore, man.
I know. Fucking hurt. Yeah.
There's a gut check.
No, I knew it was coming.
I'm old.
I knew it. Well, this last year, my eyes, I knew it was coming this year.
Yeah.
I've noticed a decline in my eyes in this from last year shooting to this year shooting.
Shit, your eyes are getting worse. Mine are getting better. I love it.
Yeah, you can kiss my ass.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be careful when you choose your glasses. Make sure that you really look on that corner right on your nose.
Yeah.
If it's a thicker frame, you can't even use them. Like I use
get in the way of your peep sight, depending.
Yeah,
on
like a wire type frame where it connects the top of the frame by inserted slot on the actual lens, so that when you're looking down it, if you can see well enough in the corner of your nose, you can tell. Because I tried using like some Wiley X, like really nice ones, and I can't even look down my peep because I look right on my nose. Right?
Gotcha.
Depends how big your bridge of your nose is too. If you got a real flat nose.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And if they don't work, then it's whatever. I'll wear them for my daily life, and I'll get something else for shooting, whether it's just fix my distance.
Just start talking trash to your wife, and she'll flatten that nose a few times for you.
Yeah,
then you would have any glasses. Yeah.
Fuck, she chalks enough trash to me. I don't need to even go down that road. It's already starting. She went and bought her hunting license today because we're heading out to elk camp tomorrow night.
Oh, she's sick of opening up the freezer and it's empty.
Oh, fuck yeah. She's like, I'm just gonna buy my hunting license and I'll go get the damn elk tag, and I'll wait for you in camp, and when you get back, you can go gut my goddamn elk down at the river there.
Oh,
sit in my chair.
God.
And you know what's gonna happen. You know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, she'll shoot a bull.
Yeah,
be like, what's the big deal?
In her freaking chair. At the camp.
Yeah, coming up to the camp.
Yeah. It's going to happen. And then I'm just going to sell all my shit. And I'm just, you guys are never going to see me again.
No.
I'm just going to disappear. Maybe a fucking hermit.
buddy, it's been a blast. It really has.
It's
Yeah.
been nice knowing you
swell.
guys.
Yeah.
I wish I could have known you guys for a little longer.
It's funny, like growing up, my dad used to like scout deer, put them to bed, do all this work, and my mom, and it was for her tag, and she just drive up, get out of the truck, one shot him, boom. What's the problem here? Like, what's so hard about this?
Yeah. Why do you have
Why
to
does
take
it
off so
take-
much time to just go do
Yeah,
this?
I don't think I've ever seen her miss. She shot a bunch of deer, and
Oh,
she's
really?
like, yeah, no problem. Boom, one shot, done. It's like, you guys are making a big deal about this. This is easy.
You guys are shitty hunters.
Yeah, you guys suck.
You guys want to go deal with that there? Mama's already done it.
Yeah,
Mama's got her
we
tag.
did.
My work is done.
I've taken her elk hunting too, and she's great. Led me right to the elk. She's like, yeah, we're gonna go down here, go up there. Okay. Because she was just on them. All right. Get right on the elk right away. Crazy.
Nice. Yeah.
Awesome. So we did it, eh, boys? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to take some
Fuck,
credit,
we-
but good
we
job.
did it. We did it. Yeah.
On the board.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, let's hear it. I've been telling you I didn't want to hear any of it for the last
Oh man.
all yesterday and today. I've been ignoring your texts. Your texts.
Yeah. Well, so I went out opening day and it was hot and everyone else was out too. It was the pressure was pretty intense. I'm not going to lie. Just with not even just hunters, just recreational activity was off the charts. There's dirt bikers going off trail. Like we've designated trails, but oh man, it's nothing gets me going worse than seeing guys off trail when it's opener and you wake up at 3:15, get in there hiking in by 4 a.m. Holy shit, not fun. Got in about 5 or 6 kilometers and I started hearing the machines firing up. It was a long weekend, so I'm not surprised, but I kind of was anticipating that they'd stay on the designated trails like we talked about with zones of pressure. Just started working my way around and I did see elk though. I did get into them, but it's hard to do anything when there's dirt bikes ripping past all the time. So they were kind of getting pushed around. So basically that first opener, that's all I did. I kind of shadowed a big herd. I got in a really big herd really quick. Like within a few hours of first light, I got on like 100. I figure about 100 head of elk. Two good bulls in there. There was one that was like he was pushing 300, 320 class bull. Tried to make a move on him, but you know how that is. That's crazy business when talking about archery. So kind of started to try and just watch them, right? For like a day, and then second day I picked up on them again, and they had a pattern, a definite pattern of going to bedding areas, they're out in the open on private, and then they come back in the bedding on public. So I started profiling them. I did make a move on them the second day out, just out, out in the open. It's wide open. There's no cover. So I just watched them take the same trail. They're vocal. They're like, but only heard talk when they're moving. There's no bugling. As soon as they were feeding, quiet. As soon as they get moving, they're doing that chatter, bugling, but that light kind of, not really aggression, but just communication. Yeah. And as soon as they get to their destination, boom, stop, nothing. You can call at them, try to calf call, lost calf. They know what's going on. They're feeling that pressure. And so as soon as I started to really profile them and get on them, I'm pretty sure that other hunters pushed them really hard, and that ended that instantly. They became completely nocturnal, no vocalization, completely nocturnal, and they like I shit you not, I sat in this one, like we were talking about, like on that elk tactics, like sitting out in the open and literally just waiting till last light to see what's going on, and I did that, and you could like those elk had a stopwatch. They must have been like, okay, and 60 seconds after shooting light, okay, and now we're going in here. And they literally like it's just right on the dot. Shooting light is over, and boom, they're coming out in the open, feeding. You could have done something, but the timing was always off, right? Like they're definitely huntable and killable, but it's just that nocturnal instinct that they had to stay in complete darkness. And the same thing, I put in another day, and this is like it's early season. We're pushing into like 30-degree weather. So that was really driving this kind of like nocturnal early morning last light activity. And sure as shit, they were there again. But again, just as soon as light hits their eyeball, they're just like, I'm gone. It's like they're gonna burst into flames because the light's hitting them. They just beeline it for the trees, and they started walking trails. So I started, like I was saying, like covering area, just really pushing the distance. So I was doing 30K a day on those first 3 days, but it became very apparent that the whole herd hunting thing wasn't really going to work. Just the way that they were coming through, filtering through, I was either going to get busted by cows. There's no rat activity. So I'm like, okay, I'll just let them do their thing, keep traveling, keep doing stuff. Don't pressure them. Don't get my scent on their tracks that they keep doing, and see if I can reconnect with them later on the season. Because once they start rut, that herd bull is going to start circling around, cracking off bugles, doing stuff like that. So I stopped. I actually passed a bull second day in the morning, first light, but it was a different herd. So I was trying to work this ridge and get up on top of them and then wait in an ambush because there's no calling, obviously. And they just kind of try and hunt that big bull like a big mule deer, hey? Like just get a vantage point, range everything out, and then just creep in and then try and shoot them over top of this ridge they kept coming up out of. They come down the ridge and they come up the ridge. So I got the wind advantage. But while I was coming around that ridge, I bumped into 6 cows, a couple spikes, and a legal bull. He's a 3x4, but real immature, kind of has that insect face, that narrow face, like a praying mantis face. Just immature, just not what I'm looking for, especially when you think you're gonna put a stock down on like a 300-inch bull. As soon as you see that, you're like, okay, that's the level I'm gonna try to attain. But you know how that goes. That goes out the window. The hunting, honestly, like with that heat, was just getting worse and worse and worse. I thought for a while there, I thought I was starting to heat up, like the activity, but then that hunting pressure started to really kick in, and that pushed them really nocturnal. So, like I said, the hunting wasn't getting better, so I put a cap in it, and then waited a few days into, I think it was second week, September, and then again put in another 3 days. Oh no, actually I only put in 1 day, and then I waited a couple days because that first day, again, all the activity, everything I was seeing, no midday activity whatsoever. No bugles, nothing. Just 45 minutes in the morning, 45 minutes of last light. And that first 45 minutes, I did call in a bull. He was bugling. I got up on a high ridge and I just started, working a breeding sequence, just location sequence, just real low volume, just kind of like, trying to set the stage of, there's a cow that's starting to get a little demanding. There's some kind of early rut signs, try and get just even some interest, right, of any of the satellites, because they're there. I've found tracks. I knew exactly where they're going. They're hitting water twice a day. It looked like as they're coming and going at night, but they're there, right? So set up a game plan, get some elevation, really start letting my calls penetrate through those valleys. And I started doing that in the morning. And yeah, I had a bull crack off, chuckling. That's all he wanted to do. Just chuckle, 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 chuckle. Just kept doing it. And again, like I got him calling, tried to cut the distance. He's 1,300 yards. So again, I had to do some spot and stalk stuff like I do with mule deer, back out. The wind was terrible and there was an open clearing I had to cross. So I had to back completely out like 1,000 yards, get some cover so I could cross this opening, and then get the wind right. And I thought for sure he was going to come in. I went into like this kind of like a bedding / aspen area, real good for elk, but it's across from him. So if he's benched up, and he was just lazy bugling, he was just sitting there in the wide open, bugling, chuckling, just chuckle, 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 just going to town with his chuckle fest over there by himself. He didn't have anybody with him. And that's kind of the trend I was seeing like this entire time. There was just solo bulls. After that herd got pushed by hunting pressure, and then that other herd was around, but there wasn't cows really in the area. I just started to notice this behavioral shift of early season hunting pressure, nocturnal, not much vocalization, and the vocalization even got worse. It seemed like those bulls that wanted to kind of chatter a little bit to you started to have interactions with hunters and bad calling, probably bad setups, getting winded. And I started to see that hesitancy start to creep in. So I shifted gears and I started going to more of a hybrid technique. I would do location bugles, just this like from complete cover where I know that there's no elk that are going to see me. And I just crack off a real loud, piercing, high pitch location bugle, maybe some cow chatter, a little bit of, and then increase that cow volume. But all calf, not mature cow calls. And just kept doing that. And then I would immediately just go to like a spot and stalk, glassing, walking timber, looking for movement, looking for bedded elk in some of these little areas I know that they kind of hang out. And I started spotting elk every morning. It was boom, see them on the ridge. So that was the game plan. The whole thing was just like, I spot them up high. Oh shit. Now I gotta navigate to put a stalk on them. And it was just these, like I ended up slowly starting to like really lightweight my gear, like even like less water, less food. Everything was no tripod. Anything I could get as light and fast as possible, because that's what I was seeing, and that's what the hunt was turning into, was like a mule deer kind of loadout kind of deal, where I'd glass them and I got 45 minutes to get her done. And that kept happening. And then just, you know how that goes. As soon as you start playing that game, like the elk are already on the move. And it's like as soon as they are visible, they're already kind of on their way out of there. So it is just becoming super difficult, because there was a bull that I located early morning. He was a nice 5, and he's up on the ridge. And I'm shitting you, he didn't even flinch. I cow called at him, did a calf, even did like non dominant, non-aggressive bugles, like real way go through the octave tone growling and just stuff like that. Didn't even look at me. Wasn't interested whatsoever. He might as well been like a mule deer. Wasn't interested. I glassed him as I was doing it, and he's probably like sub 400 yards. And then so I made another push to try and get on his trail network, because this bull was just, it's like he was hitting the same trails, but he was kind of intelligent enough to not use the same trail. He would use the same corridor of trails, but I noticed he wouldn't go down the main trail. He'd come back the main trail. Then 2 days, he would use this other side trail that's on the side of that trail that runs across from it. So he was in the general vicinity, but he was intelligent enough that you could never peg him on that trail for maybe more than 1 or 2 travels in a row. So I actually was going to, and they all kind of came down to this water source, hey? And so I tracked him for 7 kilometers. And then that's when I realized, I'm like, okay, his bedding area is like some serious distance and gnarly terrain, not like a nice trail. It's like we're going straight up. And so he must have been coming up, going straight over this ridge, and there's this little pocket of timber that he probably was bedding in. Unfortunately, you can't glass it ahead. It's super thick. So you know that he's just hanging out there. And if you go in there, he's just going to kind of get either spooked or pushed. So I actually tried to do kind of a dominant territorial strategy. So I go in there and I start bugling, low volume, and then trying to get him to crack off because I kind of figured he was in the area, and I'd hear some noise like he's kind of moving around, but he wouldn't defend his territory. So I'm like, oh, this is definitely an immature bull. He's not a dominant big bull. So I'd crack off, and he really wasn't in the mood to defend his bedding area. So, just did ambush, kind of slow stalking through the trees. I kept running into big mule deer. That's the thing. I kept seeing mule deer. Like I bumped into a 190-inch mule deer. I could have easily shot him at 40 yards. I just for shits and giggles, I did like I drew back on him just to see if he would bust. Then he just looked at me, sat there broadside. I'm like, frick, I know where I'm taking my kid. Holy shit. But I just kept seeing the same thing over and over. And that's when I noticed I'm like, okay, the calling is kind of set aside for a bit and just start kind of hunting timber like I hunt mule deer. But again, it wasn't productive, right? Like it felt like I'm like, man, I could just like leave, go home for a while and come back in the evening. That's how bad the hunting midday was. Zero vocalization, zero action, zero movement. You're not catching them really moving. It's all in the morning, all at last light. But that evening I hiked back, and on my way back, I just started doing some calling, more aggressive this time. So real raspy
bugling though,
growling.
right?
Yep, bugling now. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start showing dominance. I'm gonna start really getting aggressive with my calling. So I started hitting sections, and I was already 20K on the boots by then. So I'm kind of beat up from hiking these big ridges and stuff. So I'm like, okay, I made a strategy. I'm gonna walk this big back end of like a section of ridges and just hit saddle after saddle after saddle, and then bugling, and then doing like a more annoying cow call, demanding cow call, and I started doing breeding sequences, contact sequences, like just raking, growling, kind of that bull tending a hot cow, because we're in second week of September now. So
what's the temperature right now
hot,
when you're doing
hot, real hot, unbearably hot, like 27, 30 degrees. That was the problem. Like all these big hikes, I know I'm going to go on a big hike. I'm packing a shit ton of water. I'm burning through water like crazy. And it's kind of that diminishing returns. You're packing a shit ton of water, which makes you drink more water because it's so damn heavy. And the heat is just driving your scent up, where you're sweating. You're getting sweated out every big climb, every big push. So you have to be really conscious of the wind. And then that was pushing all activities to where all the elk, they wouldn't be out in the open ever because it's too hot for them, right? So
and it was really
benching up.
dry too. And I noticed a lot of guys have been saying that there's really low vocalization right now. And I know I remember hearing something talk about inconsistent breeding, like cows don't have consistent, they don't go into heat consistently when it's in the hot temperatures.
Yeah. And so this whole thing I was having with all these solo bulls, I started noticing I'm like, they're not showing signs of rut, but that's probably because there's no cows in the area, right? They didn't get that scent. You could tell that there was some aggression starting to build in them with that testosterone coming up. But that was the thing I was noticing. Like, there's nothing really in the area that's pushing them into rut. Like, if they smelled estrus, I'm sure those bulls would start roaring. But they were still doing some weird stuff. Like, so that last light, I pushed for this big ridge, and I was going to cast a bugle across the ridge just to see if they were going to respond, if I could hear anything. And I don't know if it's like a sixth sense or something. I was bugling down in there, and this is such a good learning experience for me, of just the importance of, well, the direction of calling and how much that can affect how the elk actually are hearing things.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure. Well, I've noticed that too before, and like hunting, especially in the Kootenays, you get these big
yeah,
rolling, like you get these rolling, like the mountainsides are rolling, right? And like
yeah,
you could be the direction you're calling, and the wind too plays a factor into the direction you're calling. You could be like you could be on one side of it and calling into the other side, and just the way, the topography
the echoing. Yep.
of the echo,
Yeah.
and you get a little bit of wind drag with that. You're not even hearing it on the opposite side. And we know this because we've had instances where I've been on one side glassing down into a bowl on one hill
Mm-hmm.
with a bowl in between another guy, and another guy bugling not that far away, and me not being able to hear him just because of the shape of that bowl,
Yeah.
the mountainside,
Yeah.
wind draft coming down, pushing those sounds away, like crazy, just crazy stuff. And like, so like that acoustic, all that acoustics, like landscape, that
Yeah.
it plays a huge role into like the direction you're calling, and like the tone, like everything. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing that was really surprising though was for calling, I can call so loud that I have a couple different types of reeds that I
Yeah.
can call so loud that I swear to
Do
God, it's
you
giving me
use a
hearing
big, really
damage.
big bugle tube?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Which
Full
bugle tube do
size.
you use?
I use a couple different ones. I got the Unleashed 2. I do have the Wapiti. I
The
think
big
this one,
one?
the big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I have like an older Rocky Mountain elk calls that has like a narrow mouthpiece. So this was the bigger one that I was using. I think I was using a Phelps Unleashed 2. And
There's a few that are fucking huge. I remember
yeah.
Steve Smith sent me this bugle tube, man, and it was
Yeah.
massive. I ended up giving it to my cousin just because I like Trav.
Yeah.
Trav sent me a new one too that's actually smaller, but it wails pretty good.
I think a smaller one would be good for noise. Those big ones make a lot of noise. It's just something that I've kind of been thinking about, like tweaking, or like your release hitting it is like almost devastating. If you're close, you hit that and it goes knock knock, and it makes that so unnatural knocking noise when your release is swinging. It hits the end of the mouthpiece or hits the tube, and if your fabric or whatever that's kind of shielding that noise isn't there, it sounds like the most unnatural noise in the woods. So that's
The
something
big
that
ones.
the big ones. So you got to be
Yeah,
really
yeah.
careful. And it's funny because the first podcast we did with the mule deer thing, when I was talking about those ticks, clanks, all that shit, just like having shit sorted. I even before I put all my shit on, I do a gesture where I grab that tube and I swing it up behind my back, because I do that right before I shoot. I always go and I exaggerate it where I'm like boom, and it's out of the way so I can get in there and I'm completely silent, right? Because if you don't do that, you're gonna hit that thing while you're drawing, and it's gonna sound off that trigger, and they're gonna instantly look at you because you ticked it, or you're loading an arrow quickly, and then your release is hanging on your wrist and hits that thing because it's right up here. You gotta gesture that where you just get that in your head, pull it down, get it out of the way. It's just almost like if you're shooting guns and you're like boom, 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 get it out of the way so you can do something. That is the same kind of tactical movement with
So the call I use, it's funny. I could put it in the side of my mouth like this. Like this.
Yep.
People, if they're listening, not going to be able to see. But anyway, I could hold this call on the side of my mouth, and I can draw my bow and shoot my bow with my anchor here, and read like this.
Yeah.
It's
So
not,
it's
what the hell is it? It's one of those Trophy Ridge. It's an old.
Yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah.
That's the one I use probably 90%. I don't do a ton of bugling. So like my bugle tube is, when I do carry it, it's usually stuffed in my backpack unless I'm going to throw some bugles out. But I don't have a string on it or anything. I'll just set it down.
Okay.
But I don't use it a lot. You guys, you use it a lot more than I do.
Yeah, I use it like I went through 5 reads. I'm ripping.
Oh, yeah.
Not aggressive, but I'll do a lot of low volume sounds like that, kind of wheezing grunts.
Yeah.
stuff that gets attention, right? And with those types of noises, I've noticed that I want like a single latex reed. I don't want doubled up. I want single latex. I find I can get that more immature noise really when I'm calling. And so that's what I was doing. I was doing some of those noises, but then I'm like, well, I'm not getting much action here. I better just start ripping nasty bugles. So I was doing lip balls, like chuckling. I have two reeds. I'll set different reeds and I'll try and change my tone. So that sounds like two bulls kind of just going at it, talking, doing shit. Hey. And I'm on this ridge and I'm glassing down for movement and listening. And I'm just hammering this ridge with some noise. And like I was saying, I'm like, man, like, I feel like I don't know. I'm like, I gotta look back. I've had this before. I'm like, I gotta check this open. Like, and it was open field, like wide open meadow, like big, like 1,000 yards to a tree. And I look behind me, and there's this massive 6-point running straight for me, just beelining it straight at me. No vocalization, nothing, just trotting across the wide open field, zero cover. And I'm like, holy shit. Okay, I got to get set up. So I go in, I immediately get into cover. I start range and everything. I'm like, he's coming in hot. He's coming straight at me. And I don't know if it was just him knowing the area well enough or my echo being casted on that far ridge. I did bugle at him, but I think what he was thinking was because it was kind of cliffy in that area that he was thinking, well, there can't be elk in there. That's kind of a cliff. So they must be on the next ridge. And I kind of heard echoing. So there was this so it's like open bench and then this natural drainage little depression. And so he ran towards me, but then he started to filter down in there. So as soon as I lost a visual of him, I'm like, shit, he's going down this ridge. So I race down there and I go to draw back over top of him. And it's getting far, eh? Like he's 60, 70 yards, but then he's coming into 80 yards. I was going to stop him. But then I noticed this small bull run past me. So I stopped because I know I was going to blow up the whole thing. I figured, I'm like, okay, I'll let him go in the timber down in there. And then as soon as I can't see them, I will freaking fly down in there because I know they're going to come into my calls. And I'll try and work an angle on them with the wind. And because I know I had a wind advantage when I went in there. So I ran straight down the cliff, just hauled ass, got down in there, and then beelined it up the hill. And like I said, this is such a losing equation for the hunter because last light, 45 minutes of shooting light. And I'm going down ridges. I'm fucking around with these elk, trying to literally go 600 yards into their line that they're traveling. So I rip down in there, go up this hill, and I set up a calling sequence again with the same bugles, the same kind of talk back and forth. And it just the same thing, running all light. Just boom.
That's finding elk 45 minutes before last light.
That's not a good deal.
It's frustrating fucking thing. And not just elk, anything. Like if you're already on an animal and you're chasing them, but you've been like chasing them for the last like 4 hours is one thing because but like when you like just to pick them up and like or relocate them 45 minutes, like, and then you're like, fuck, like, am I gonna have a play? And like, obviously, you always go for it, but never seem to like be able to squeeze enough light out of that fucking sun.
No, and they know that, and they know that, and they're like, they're in that mode of they're kind of coming in, but they're very cautious. They're very hesitant to come in. Yeah. Like even they were just getting. I feel like they were coming in, but they weren't going to move anything. They weren't going to actually come fully committed in until it was pitch black.
I wonder if it's something. I wonder if they like. I wonder if they just like those animals, deer, elk. They just function better at night. Like if they're like, okay, like everything's on an even playing ground because they can't know that we can't see. Like how would they know that we can't?
Well, they know that we're not chasing them at night. for the most
That's
part.
true.
It's
Yeah,
just the
that's
pressure's
responding to
off.
pressure, right?
But I
Like,
mean,
they
like,
know.
yeah, less pressure at night, I guess. If they're in a place, a spot, a location where it's heavily pressured during the day, then they know, obviously. But then that comes to zones of pressure too. But I mean, even when you get into animals that there's probably a low probability that they've ever seen humans,
Yeah.
they still prefer the night. But I guess it's cooler, and I guess like there is some predators that don't do as well at night as they do during
Compared
the
to
day.
them. Yeah, compared to them. And there was a little bit of moonlight, but nothing major, right? Like I think it was like a waning moon. It's nothing major. But yeah, so I went right to last light and I had a fucking hell of a hike out. So it took me 2 hours to get out of there and just hiking down. And I'm just trying to figure out, like, what do I got to do? Like, what's the strategy? What's the change? Um, and honestly, I'm like, I just had said in my head, I'm like, I have to stop. Obviously, stop in that area, let things calm down because I had pushed them a little bit. I think they were starting to feel that pressure, like pushing them with calls and aggression, and it was starting to shake things up in that area. And I wasn't going to leave that area because I kept seeing elk. I was seeing good bulls every day. I figured, I'm like, oh, it's just a matter of time. I think I even texted buddy. I'm like, yeah, I'll kill an elk in like a day or two. Like, I'm not confident. Like, I could, like, there was like the call, like how close I was. It's a matter of a cow call in 20 seconds. Like, I get ahead, yeah, stop them, boom, you're done. And that's how I felt. I'm like, okay, so I got a game plan. I'm gonna stop, take care of some stuff at home, get my work shit done. We had a bunch of big maintenance coming up. Okay, I'll handle that stuff. I'll let rut catch up because I could already tell it was behind. I talked to some friends and there were some bugles going on in other places. But for whatever reason, like I said, I think it was low cow population in the area was driving this late rut type of scenario. And the bulls that, like, even those bulls, no vocalization. And there's two of them together acting exactly like summer bachelors, which was so weird for me because that big bull, he was a big mature bull, and those guys usually kick those little guys they're cruising with them out, like they kick them out of the area once they start getting grumpy and the rut's starting to get close. And that's not what was happening. They were just bachelored up. It was really, really bizarre behavior. Um, and then so took a couple days break, and then that was Tuesday. Okay, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go back out. I have a game plan. I know exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go into the same area again. I'm gonna widen the range because I think things are starting to really move. Like, the pattern was done. There's no feeding pattern anymore. They're in the area, but they're moving. So I figured, I'm like, okay. And there was this thing happening where I was either seeing them at first light or seeing them at last light. So if I don't see them at first light, they're at last light. That's how far they were traveling. They would travel that far from bedding areas to feeding areas, and it's like they're on this like little loop where they would like hit this area, then they'd bump, hit this area, then bump, hit this area, then bump, and they're just going on this constant path. So I figured, okay, I'm gonna get on to like all that scouting I did early season, all the fresh sign. I put waypoints on everything. And then I zoomed out and I looked at the big picture. Everything was related to hitting water at first light and last light as they're coming in and coming out. So focused in on that, got up on a high ridge, and I kept seeing that 5 point on that same ridge. But he was so sporadic. He's low, he's high, he's in the trees, he's not in the trees, he's wide open. So I'm figuring, okay, I'll just get to the top point of that saddle. And there's that podcast that you sent to Pete and I was listening to that, and with Stallone and Paul Elknut, and I was thinking about that. Like, I gotta adapt here. I gotta start hunting that as soon as, like, when they're out in the open. If they're not responding to calls, I'm going to hunt these bulls like big mule deer, where I find them and try and get in their line, get in the way, figure out, like, okay, what's the highest likelihood like that they're on this trail. They're not spooked. They're not going to be running fast. So I need to race up ahead, cut them off at water. I was careful enough in the morning. Like I was putting in 15-hour days on this. So getting up super early, getting up to my glassing point like 5 a.m. I seen hunters heading in. And they're on e-bikes, and I beat them on foot. This is fucking crazy. I'm just like, what's the fastest way up there? Straight up a cliff. I'm like, okay, sounds good. Go up there. Because I'm like, they're gonna wreck the whole thing. And I just flashed my headlamp at them. I'm like, okay, they knew I was in there. All right. And they were actually courteous, and they went in a different area because I was already in there. So I headed up this hill, and sure as shit, I see that freaking bull's ass on the way out, beeline it for the trail system again. So, okay. So I cut a trail where I cut straight across timber and then beeline it to the water. So I'm in there, and this is not what I do. I don't sit water. I never have been good for that. I get bored. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna build a blind. I'm gonna start calling. I'm like, and I'm fucking bored. I want to leave because I'm always thinking I'm always gonna find the elk. I'm not gonna, but that's what I did because I wanted to hit that trail system, and if they're hitting the water late or something like that.
So was this, what kind of water system was this? Was it just a lake
like
or
natural spring? Natural spring.
Oh,
super clean water,
Nice.
good water. And like there was, because there's always guys doing grazing in there, so it'd be like big tractor tires, and it's got like clean trickling water, and it's filled up to the top, and it's filtering out, so it's like gem clear water, cold, natural spring. I'm like, okay, there's tracks going there and going everywhere. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna sit in here. Just gonna sit for like an hour or two in the morning and nothing. So I'm like, okay. So that means that my action's gonna be last light. All right. I already have my head. So I'm gonna do a big hike. So I go on a big hike. I hiked to the highest point in the zone. That you can basically see where I was. This big hill. There's all these weird rock formations everywhere, and it just kind of clears up the trees so that you can glass, right? So and at that point, I'm at the farthest point from a road. Like there is no access in here. You're gonna have to hike in here. So I felt pretty comfortable about like the hunting pressure and where I was staged up. And this is a hell of a hike. Like at this point, I am just fully committed just because of the distance I travel trying to get ahead of this bull. I'm like, okay, well, I might as well go up there and glass everything, maybe do some location bugles, etc. Try and kind of drive activity towards where I'm going to be going for the next 3-4 hours while I'm hiking out of here. And I get up there, I'm glassing, and there's nothing out in the open. Again, it's just that nocturnal activity. There's nothing in the open. And I glassed for like an hour, and I could see everything. I could see the valley. It was actually kind of cool. I could see a valley and a ridge line where I shot my bull in 2022. So I'm like, oh, that's where he came from. I could see it like crystal clear view of that whole area where I've shot elk. And there was nothing in there. Lots of cattle still out, but no activity again. So, okay. All right. Well, I'm going to hike the hardest point because I'm already super high up. I'm going to stay on this ridge, and I'm just going to work my way back and kind of run these sequences, right? I was doing a little bit of continuous calling, but I would ramp it up. I'd do different scenarios, cold calling them. So I would just cast my calls, do a location bugle. Okay. So now I'm solitary bull. Run that vocalization. Do some raking. Okay. Sit there for like 20 minutes. All right. Nothing. Then I go and move up, work up, move up to the next point. Cow calling, cow calf communication, different volumes, different tones, different reads, you name it, casting it all over the place, throwing sticks, making noise, trying to make it seem like there's multiple elk in the area, walking trail. Okay. Nothing. No activity. All right. So then I keep doing this. And then I start working into that prime time, and it's like the lights switch on, like there's activity now. And that was kind of in that last hour before it was like last light. And just like everything was coming out of the woodwork. I'm seeing mule deer crossing out in the open. I'm seeing whitetail start popping. I'm like, okay, now and for anybody that's in these scenarios where they keep seeing last light, it is so important that everything you do when you're in that window where all of your opportunity is going to be in the next 45 minutes, you are dialed in. You are glassing where you're going and then looking around constantly, being quiet, heel toe movement. You're not smashing too many sticks when you're moving into an area. You can be loud if you're going to get in there, but it's so important that, okay, I'm coming into a clearing. I'm glassing everything. I'm super cautious. There could be a bull right around the corner working his way in, right? So just identifying, and two, there's grizzlies in the area. So you got to make sure you spot them before they spot you. If you're in that 100-yard range, like they could come up to you and you're going to have a bad time. So I'm constantly aware of this, and I start seeing some activity. Just things start moving around. I could tell. I'm like, all right, this is it. I'm going to get some activity. So I walk this big trail and the saddle's up. And so basically where I had been calling, everything directionally is going to this saddle. And it's in the far, like it's in the back, really far in the back in public. Like, I think I'm the only one crazy enough to go in there without an e-bike. Like, it's freaking madness. To get out of there, to pack out, it's not good. So I'm like, okay, my zone of pressure is good. So this is probably where those big bulls came from. And that's probably where that 5 is coming from. Just kind of transitionally, I could tell. I'm like, this is a hot spot. So I'm walking edge of timber. And there's this choice of I could go down low or I could go up high. And it's like one of those old, like 100-year-old wagon trail, old bullshit that's, it's been logged a couple times, maybe in the past, like 80 years ago kind of deal. And it's really overgrown and it's just kind of now just like a cow trail. And it splits off. I'm like, okay, well, I'll stay up high and I'll stick in the saddles because that's probably my best likelihood of being in an ambush position because calling wasn't really effective, like I said. So I'm walking in this area and I'm super cautious and I'm glassing timber and I'm coming up and I'm on a cliff edge, like it's kind of cliffing down into like a valley and it's wide open, like big country, completely wide open, zero cover except for where I am. And it's just kind of evergreens and spruce trees and shit like that on my right. So I'm kind of still trying to keep my silhouette in that timber line and I'm just working my way across. And I think we were at I think it was at 7 o'clock. 7-ish, 7. Yeah, it was around 7 p.m. And I'm like, okay, we're getting into last light. Still got shooting light. I think it was around like 8:24, 8:30 or something. And I'm working in there. Okay, this is prime time. And I'm just glassing. Don't see anything out in the open. And I'm coming up to this transition where it's saddled out and it's going to like a bench system. And there's trees on either side, but you can't really see too far ahead of yourself. So I come in there and I'm just quiet and I'm glassing. I'm looking around for movement and I let out a cow call. I'm like, oh shit. I hear these branches to my left start breaking. Hey, I'm like, okay, that's weird. Like that could be a bull, but it was just a weird spot. Like, like how you have like an edge of a bench and you have a bunch of old shit growth and weird stuff. And it didn't seem like someplace a bull would hang out. So I'm like, okay, but you hear sticks when you're cow calling, like something's going on here. So I'm creeping in. It starts to open up. There's a couple trees in the way. It starts to open up and there's kind of like this hill up the top. And as soon as I come on the opening, I glass to my right and there's a bull sitting there staring at me. 70 yards, 70, 80 yards. He was interested in something. He's like, what the hell was that? He's looking around, looked real cautious, completely silent, didn't make a single peep. I look at him, okay, yeah, he's either a 5 or a 6. He's a good one. He's wide, eh? Like he had a nice wide posture. I'm like, okay, this is it. All right. I had the wind right before I even went in there, so I already knew my wind was good. I double checked everything. I'm like, okay, perfect. Boom, right behind a tree. So I'm trying to figure out, and to my left was this that like I already had in my mind 10 steps ahead of this bull of I already knew what was going to happen because I've seen it so many times shooting elk, just stalks, and just what has gone wrong and other people I've talked to. And there's this kind of aggressive rolling knob on the top of this bench. And I knew that he was probably going to go there and do that old head where they just look over top at you and just sit there and wait, and you don't see any vitals. You don't even have a frontal shot, and just sit there and just kind of try and stare for movement. So I stayed behind the trees, cast my call to the left because I was also kind of worried he was going to come to my right and then look down to where I was casting my calls. And I was worried that he wasn't going to get that visual, and then he was going to get really nervous and then back out and run. So to my left, there's a kind of a big valley that comes down. So instantly I'm like, just started casting down there. So instantly he started looking down there. And this is where it gets fucking crazy. So there's 3 trees. I'm behind the one. And I'm calling. I'm trying to put in a game plan of a stalk.
Doing cow calls?
Yep, I'm doing 1,000 different things, and I'm getting ready to kind of start being aggressive, like closing the distance to this next point. I knew I'm like, if I don't get to that tree over there, nothing's gonna fucking happen. I'm not, because there's so much like shit in the way. There's limbs in the way, and I knew.
Do you have a lane at this point though? Do you have a lane?
No
like,
lane.
No lane.
No shooting lane. And he's at 70, 80 yards, and I could barely see vitals. I could see the tops of I could see his eyeballs just staring at me. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I have to either back out, come around, and just belly crawl up to that next point, but he'll probably see me. So as I'm getting in position, so bull is up ahead, 70 yards. I'm behind a tree, and a fucking bear walks past me at 10 yards in between the bull and me.
Was it a good bear?
It was a sow.
Oh,
with cubs.
Grizz or black?
Black bear. But I'm like, oh my God. So this bear is right beside me at this point, like right in front of me, and she's walking across. I'm literally staring at this bull, and her head pops up in my binoculars looking at me. I'm just like, for shit's sakes. I finally get some action, and this bear is going to screw everything up. So I just stay super still, don't move a muscle, because I know she would either charge me because she had cubs with her, or she was going to just huff and blow the whole thing up if she sprinted out of there. And so I have this bull.
What does the elk know that the bear's there?
Oh yeah.
Just looking at it, doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, he's looking at him, but he was more interested in me.
Yeah.
And calling. But so I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, so I got this bear right in front of me. I'm trying to stay still. This bull is up top looking at all of us. Well, I'm behind a tree, but watching these. And so there's 3 bears in front of me. The cubs ran right in front of me, like point blank, like maybe a couple of yards. I'm like, okay, if I move a muscle, this is over. So I let them kind of work their way to my right. And as soon as I'm watching that bull, I'm like, I already have my head. I'm like, as soon as that bull breaks eye contact on me and looks at those freaking bears walking across, I'm going to immediately quickly shimmy up to that next shooting lane. And so as the bear is moving across, the bull turns his head, and I instantly took advantage of their movement to mask me kind of really low and quickly moving up and around, and I got to my shooting lane. So I'm like, perfect.
How much ground did you have to cover?
Probably only like maybe 10, 15 yards. And then I had it was the farthest tree on the edge. So then I had all that.
Oh yeah.
Free and clear, no obstructions, nothing. And I had my back. I had trees on my back. So I'm like, good. I got good silhouette. I'm in a shadow. Perfect. Come in there. and he's starting already. I can tell he's starting to spook already. He's starting to get kind of hesitant, probably because of the bear, but also too, it didn't make sense that if a bear ran by, that those cows wouldn't have busted. And, just naturally, it was unnatural what was going on. And you could tell he's just doing that kind of posture where he's just looking around, he's looking, and then as soon as I'd move, he'd instantly be on that movement, even though I was in complete cover. So I started getting more aggressive because he was starting to walk like he's trotting out farther away from me. So he'd start stepping away, and I've learned that as soon as they start stepping away, I can start getting away with a little bit more movement because they're on the move too, right? So
Yeah.
Right away I work to the edge of the
Are
tree.
you doing any calls?
Yep. So I rip a bugle at him away from me.
Yeah, facing behind you.
Not aggressive, just like I said, that amateur vocalization, just, hey, I'm here. I'm rooting around. I'm just and then grunting and just like inhaling, kind of that, not nervous, but like just natural vocalization of younger bulls with cows. So like spikes, when you sneak up on spikes and they're in a big group, they're kind of bugling and they're doing shit, but they don't know really what they're saying, but they're doing like vocalization. And then I started casting some calls because I knew he needed to go left. The only lane was left. Like I said, there was a very pronounced hill, so I couldn't even see his vitals on the top. So I needed him to go left. Everything was riding on if I could guide him to the left, I had at least a chance to make a shot on him. So okay, I got in position, and this is where, when we talk about like all this, like the archery positional shooting, everybody's practicing that perfect natural form. Like, I'm a big guy. This shot was technically very difficult. I had to crunch down, compact my form. I had to be crawling, so I was on my knees, so I had to do like a weird draw behind cover potentially. I'm shooting from my knees. I have to open up my hips, like everything about, and it was on a slope too. So everything about it was just like, it's unnatural. It's really a weird positioning. It was very mule deer type scenario. And so right away, I'm like, okay, I got to get him to the left. So I cast my calls as I just started down to my left.
Those are cow calls you're making.
Yeah.
Yeah. The high pitch.
And then I close my mouth. I even cast out the side of my mouth. I cast it over so it's muted. So it sounds like multiple cows, different distances, down to his left, or like straight ahead to my left. He starts working down, like just slowly, cautiously, and he's looking around. You could tell he's okay. I got him in a search mode now. So now all I got to do is make sure that he doesn't think that he should have a visual. That's it. So as he works down, cast it right behind me, a call that Paul Elknut, I've heard him do a bunch of his routines, and it's just like I started doing like a chatter, like multiple cows, calves, stuff like that, a little bit of bugle. I did some bugling, went up, and I did like rip a fairly aggressive bugle to my back, because I needed him to get interested in what was going on over there. So, and I started doing some panting, some excitable noises, just so he wanted to see what was going on. Like,
so you're just making a bunch of bunch of cow calls, bunch of noise, basically.
Bunch of like early rut, like maybe a cow coming into estrus, but there's just some excitement,
like,
and then some
elk
chatter.
running around, moving around, not standing still.
Exactly. So I start casting that to my back to bring him around, and then he starts feeding into position. He's getting nervous again, but I'm already like, I had already moved to the farthest left of that edge of the trees, and I'd snapped some of the twigs that were going to get in my shooting lane. I kind of was quiet, just snapped them off, getting ready, ranged that hill. Okay, I got my range. So he starts moving to the left, and he's starting to get nervous again, because I think he was looking, he wasn't seeing elk. And
Yeah,
this is
he
where,
wasn't seeing elk where the noise that he
yeah,
thought was coming from. So then he's obviously
exactly.
naturally he's getting
Yeah,
like,
getting
what's
nervous.
going on here?
And he's at about 60 yards by now. Again, still not a very good shot. It'd be like a quartering to hard shoulder shot was the only, and it's like, that's not a shot. So, okay, so that's not a shot. So I got to work him a little more. And this is now, I've been probably doing this for like 20 minutes now because I started slow playing it, just trying to really direct him to my left. And the wind was fine. Wind was stable, obviously. So I'm in position and I'm far left. And I'm like, he's starting to lose interest. I got to do something aggressive. I got to take a risk. It might pay off, it might not. So I started doing it's almost like a lip ball, like where you cast a call and it's almost like a lip ball cow call. And it's like, yeah. I did 2 of those behind me, and then I did a urgent cow call where it's a high pitch and drops right off. It's like meow, meow. Twice, loud. I did it like once. It was a little quieter, and he trotted forward, just got his attention right away. Then I blasted it behind me, and I'm far left. He trots right into 40, 45, 50 yards right away, like surprisingly fast, right at me. And he's just searching. Hey, he's just like, really, I switched something in his head where he was excited to see what that was and was following that command from that cow. He thought to come, like, urgently, come here, come here. I just kept saying, come here, come here. So that's what that call was. Cause I know I've heard that before, even with herds too. And I'm like, okay, I know what I got to do.
You
But
can hear that too. If when you get into groups of cows, and you get like cows trying to call their young, and you get that panicked, like, hey, get over here quick. And that's what it sounds like that. Quick,
exactly. Like that's a play on emotions that they have. That's
like,
a paternal instinct that those cows have. That's why I'm sure you've had so much success with calf calls, because you get cows' emotions, you get bulls' emotions.
Yeah.
There's
Well, and
both
that's
of
what
that.
it's always worked. Like we've talked about before, and like I've had a lot of success just getting those cows going and getting them to basically spill the beans on where the bull's located, like giving up their bedding areas.
Yeah.
In like between like 10 and 2 o'clock. And like the bull's never going to make a noise, but you create a sense of urgency where you hit a nerve or something in their maternal instinct that makes them fire up. And then they start going off, right? They start going off, and then you can make a play to get in there. And once you're in to close enough, you let out a bugle, and that bull's like, he has no other opportunity, like no other choice at this point, because you're already in his bedroom.
He has to come and confront you, right?
Yeah.
And so, knowing all this, I was just trying to play on that emotion with that bull to get that urgent contact, and then contact buzz I did too, to try and draw him in even closer. So when he trotted, though, I'm completely exposed now. So I'm like bow in hand, completely exposed. I dropped to my stomach, and I had to like crawl, like army crawl, like with my head sideways with my bow to get back at like a fucking slug. I was just like trying to like creep like mule deer,
lips dragging through the dirt.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just trying to get back behind that cover. So I just kind of come in that cover because that was my shooting lane. I thought he was going to trot maybe forward to me. He swung way around me, like around to my left. Did exactly what I wanted him to do, but he did it a little too quick. So then I get back around. I'm like, okay. And I literally, like, there's a lateral line of cover, and I have my shoulder like propped in there perfectly. And so that I had enough space where I could draw, and then I'm just going to pop out. And so I'm like, okay, here he comes. And I cast that call behind me again. And he's like, step, boom. He's right in my shooting lane. He's perfect. Exactly where I need. I can see vitals, everything. I'm liking everything I'm seeing. Sticks his head down. And this is where I was telling you guys, like, this was to me the epitome of just mastering all of the basics. Like, I have my calls. I understand what I'm saying. I played the wind right. I had a nice stable wind. I was cautious going in there. I didn't get caught or visual or spook them at all. And then the final thing, which is always drawing from cover, making sure that I have a backdrop or I'm in a shadow. And then like I said, like always ranging. So like I'm at this critical point where, okay, I still got to get a range because that hill was kind of rolly, and I've dealt with this before. I don't shoot, like if it's really close, that's one thing, but 45 can look like it's 45 and it could be 55, right? It could be 50. It's hard when you got that rolling hill and they're on the top. So I'm like, okay.
That's when a good rangefinder really pays off. Like with a good glass, I've found like you get into these situations, these scenarios when like constantly ranging, you could be constantly ranging and just like getting a good visual on like depth perception, how far things are. Because if you got shitty glass and a cheap rangefinder, you're gonna have to put your rangefinder down and use your binoculars, and then you're just wasting a step. That's why I've always found like when you're bow hunting, if you can just quickly range and glass at the same time, like you just save so much. You have just one less movement, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because like exactly what you're saying. I was a couple of years back, I was hunting in a mountain zone, and there's this deep ravine, and I had a bull at 40 yards, and I am 100% confident that if I was able to range him and judge him for being legal, I would have got that bull.
Yeah.
And he was a 4-point, but I did. And that's where it's like the being intentional with all your movements. More movement, more chances of getting busted. And that's what happened. I had to do 2 gestures. I had to do, I ranged him at 40, and then I just quickly glassed him to see if he was legal. Boom, you're done. He spotted that second movement, and he beelined. He was out of there. So I remember.
That's the exact movement. And like a little anecdote here, like we were hunting this weekend, right? And we're chasing these deer with Wyatt, and like he's going through his processes, and we talk about all this stuff, right? Like pre-ranging and doing all this stuff, but he's making this play on these deer, and he's got his binos and his rangefinder and his bow, right? And he's got a lot of things going on. And he's pulling there's a couple deer and a buck. Like there's some does and a buck, and like they're in the tall grass and like they're feeding, so they have their head down. So he's pulling his binos out to get a lock on which deer he has to go over, because then he crouches down and he gets behind a brush, and then he moves up, right? He gains 20 yards, and then he gets up and like just to see if they've moved position at all. But then he gets to within range, and then he's standing up, glassing, putting the binos down, and then range finding, right? And like not understanding, like just do one movement, less chance of you getting busted, and which is exactly what happened. Right now, a lot of the times if you're not silhouetted and you don't have, like, you have the wind in your face, if you're behind, like if you got something behind you, covering,
hiding some movement,
masking your silhouette, the less movement you can get away with just standing there, where they're just going to look at you, and what really draws their attention is all that movement. So if you can limit that movement, you're going to increase your odds big time.
Limit the movement and make it smooth. That's one thing that I've like, this whole like, I'm jerky. No, it's got to be just like calm.
Methodical.
Everything's
like,
calm. Calm movement. And I like doing movement where it's like straight like this, not like this, not side to side. It's like it's coming straight to them or back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, and when you're wearing camo too, and you're breaking up all those pieces, like your arm and everything, right? When you're ranging and you're ranging in front of you, have your bow in front of you, you're not wide open like this. Everything's in tight in front of you. It's a lot harder for those animals to pick up that movement, right? If, like you said, if you're really slow, if you're just like throwing your binos up, putting your binos onto the side, grabbing your rangefinder, and your hands are jerking out to the side, right? And then they're going to be able to see that movement, that dark shadow movement. They're going to be like, well, I don't like this. We're going to get edgy. But if you're, like you said, bow in front of you, rangefinder, that's how I do it. Like bow in front of me, rangefinder on my limb, and I'm using that, and I'll stay like that, and I'll just use it as glass and range finding at the same time, just to do exactly what you're saying, limit that movement.
And you know, depending on like how you have your gear set up, that can help or hinder you too. Like range finding binoculars, they're really, really awesome. That's what I use, but they're heavy to do with one hand. So if you're
Yeah,
already
and
like
see that's one thing
adrenaline
when
amped up,
yeah,
it's hard, and it
it
can
is.
induce buck fever in you. Because if you're freaking out, you're trying to get a range and it's a heavy.
Yeah.
That's why when you're at the range, use your freaking limb. Get in the habit of like,
Yeah.
boom, I use my limb to stabilize it and I range. Do
Yeah.
some sort of gesture that's natural to you and practice at that the range so that it's repeatable and it seems super natural. You're not fumbling around because you're like freehanding
Yeah.
your glass trying to range them. And
Well,
if that is the case, use the single, right?
yeah.
The
Well, and
small.
that's like I used to have the rangefinder binoculars too, but now it's always like I have my rangefinder and it's on a short lanyard. It basically goes from wherever it is on my chest to my eye, and then that's it. And if I
And then you
drop
just
that thing,
drop
it
it.
doesn't
Yeah.
make any noise, and I can literally, having done it so much, I don't even I could close my eyes and I know exactly what height to grab that rangefinder and pick it
Yeah.
up. And it's
Yeah.
small. I moved over to a small, like I was using the Vortex one that had good glass, but it was too big. Now I'm shooting that full draw 5, which is really small. I can basically spin the rangefinder in my hand in glass if it's upside down. If I grab it upside down, I could spin it and put it up to my
Yeah.
eye. Always having my bow, just like we're talking about, like limiting those movements, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And at this point, I have sparse cover. It's very like I said, like I intentionally before he came into that shooting line, opened my hips up because he's facing to the left. So if he trots left, I have my hips opened up so I can actually track the shot if I need to go farther left. And I'm at this critical point where, okay, I need him to take one more step. And then I got him. Like it's still kind of sketchy. He could still bust, but I got him. So I cast the call to the left. I already have an arrow knocked, all that shit ready to roll. And he steps to the left. And as soon as he puts his head down, because he's kind of grazing, rooting around, steps his head to the left. I just have my binos up. As soon as his head's down, creep out, boom, ranged him 45 yards. Okay, get ready. Cast a call while I'm ready to roll. He seen that movement. He kind of was weirded out. So I cast a call with my mouth just to the left. He takes another step, puts his head down. I had to do like this really compressed draw cycle. So I'm off to the side, really unnaturally draw. And I am not joking. This was some like ninja shit. As soon as he seen that, his head was up, and I just pop out to the left super fast and just boom, made the shot right on him. As soon as he seen that arrow fly in the air, he already started turning on me to run. Luckily, they can't turn and move too quick, not like a deer, but it was just like I popped out. I just felt like super solid and just like peek out, like boop, made the shot. Perfect. 45 yards. I just gapped it. I didn't dial it or anything like that. Just gapped it on my pins because I'm running a 5-pin slider, a black gold, and I hammered him. He turned, and I shoot Luminox for that exact reason, for this low light shit. So I really know what's going on, and I can see that confirm hit. But when he turned, it was like a quartering away shot. As soon as I seen that, I'm like, dead bull. He's down. But he took off. And I guess that's a difference between like if you sneak in and you shoot them and there's a lot of rut activity, there's other elk around, they tend to just walk it off. They'll just kind of like, I've had that where I made the same shot on another bull and he just kind of acted sick. He got hit.
Yeah. Well,
He just
you know, one thing I found out,
away.
One thing I've noticed too is like if they don't know if they never seen you when that arrow flew,
yeah.
Like if they can't put the pieces together where like I seen something I didn't like, and then I sort of felt something, or as it's rather than just like something hit, like the arrow went through them and like the
and
arrow
he's
hit
not
the
even
ground.
looking in my direction. Yeah,
he's not even looking in your direction, and then he doesn't know, right? He
Yeah.
can just kind of starts to feel uncomfortable, but he doesn't know which direction to run, and they kind of just like saunter around and like do a slow jog or like walk and like, and then
Yeah.
eventually they just drop.
And I don't mean like I popped out like super fast, but just like fast, like smooth fast, where you're just like, boop, made the shot. It wasn't like I went out.
But yeah, but he's
I
looking.
held there.
But he's looking at you.
Yeah.
He knows something's not right, right? And then
Yeah.
he's gonna run, regardless of whether you got the arrow or off or not. He would have most likely ran at that point when you popping out. He's gonna bolt either way. Right?
And I had to really engage my core on this to stay, because I'm off on a weird slanted angle, so I can only hold that position because I literally was like pulling my whole back out intentionally to give myself more shooting lane. So, like I can only hold that steady for a fraction of a couple seconds probably before I'd start to get a little shaky or he'd see that movement. Like if I stumbled, it was game over. Like if my foot slipped, my whole leg would be exposed. You would have seen that. Like we're 45 yards and arrow flies, hammers him right in the vitals, midway up on the line, a little higher. And he takes off like a fucking freight train. Like I've seen a couple bulls do this, but I shot a bull in 2018, high lunged him, same exact shot, and he just blasted through timber, and that's what this bull did. I ripped a bugle at him to calm him down. I just started doing and ripped a bugle to make him think he's seen something weird, but not me. And he took off running. He smashed through trees, and the noise kind of subsided. And I had thought, I'm like, okay, there's those trees on that cliff edge that kind of bench down, like the exit of the bench. He probably smashed in there, worked himself in there, and he's laid down. He's dying. I'm like, okay, perfect. So I sit there and I wait. And I wait. And then it's getting a little dark. So I'm getting a little nervous. Like, okay, not really hearing any noise. And normally I won't push in, but there was some weird elements. Like he did turn away. Like it was a straight broadside shot. He did turn away. And so I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, fuck, like maybe it was a weird shot. Maybe I had a,
it doesn't matter, man. This is the funniest part is like, it doesn't matter. Like this, when you're sitting half an hour, 30 minutes into it, fuck, no matter how confident you are in your shot at that time, it shot be like, oh, he's fucking dropped. No. And then like 30 minutes later, you're sitting there and be like, fuck,
wasn't
man,
enough.
I wonder if it was enough, or like maybe it did hit him low, or like fuck, like that little bit of doubt always seems to creep into your mind.
Yeah. And I kind of just like I can still access that memory like super clearly of that hit. Like I just boom, and I have my binos on him. Like as that arrow hit, I'm like, I already have my eyes on him because I've used that with mule deer. I'm like, I'm looking for that blood. Because if you get a pass through, right, you need that blood. So I got penetration right to the veins. Like we're talking like, I'm retrieving that bull tonight. This bull is done. There's no way he could withstand that. And he's coming around and I'm looking around. I'm kind of just being very careful. I had good wind, no issues there. I'm just creeping around. And I'm like, fuck, where's the bull, man? He took off. He's running. Like, oh man, that's not a good sign. And I'm tracking. There's zero blood. And that's something if you haven't shot a lot of animals with archery, you better get used to tracking and not following your track. So I've learned my lesson of I don't do anything. I shoot, I stay completely still. I don't do anything. Boom, waypoint. In my phone, go to Onyx, hit that waypoint. I'm standing here.
Yeah. I use ribbon. I use pink ribbon. I like a visual.
Yeah.
So like I like the reason I like the ribbon is because it gives me a line. Like when I'm tracking in it, I can look back and I can see that line. But I do the same thing. It's like shot point, hit point, point of impact, and then basically depending on how sparse or what the blood is like, it could be every, if it's few and far between, then it's every drop of blood, or every, if you rubbed up against a tree and you see some blood and hair on there, then it's getting a ribbon there too.
And then what I do too is I'll take like a little video. I'll take a picture of where, like from my perspective of where the bull was, I'll take a picture. And then I'll take a little video and I basically just, I'll range and I'll take a video of where I'm standing. So I know 100% There's no way that I can misunderstand where that bull was, because I've had that where you shoot and there's lots of shit going on in front of you, like lots of stumps and sticks and hill, there's stuff, weird stuff, topography, and then you get down in there and you walk too far in there, you fouled your tracks, and you're having a tough time understanding where that bull was. So that's why I range back. Once I get down in there, I range back 45 yards. Okay, so I'm in right here. This is where it is. So I picked up his tracks immediately, because he was running like a freaking freight train. So he's digging his hooves in.
Yeah.
So I followed that, and he looped around cover, and then he ran down, bolted into an opening, like wide open field, bolted straight down the center, and I'm looking for blood, and there's no freaking blood. This doesn't make any sense to me. I'm just like, what the heck is going on here? Like, I freaking throttled him. So I'm thinking, man, Nate, wonder if like the arrow deflected or something weird. Even then, like buried to the fletchings, like that is a lot of arrow. That's like got to be 27, 28 inches of arrow that's in that ball. And when he ran, though, I didn't see too much blood. There's some blood coming out, but it wasn't a lot.
That exit wound, it's never
tough.
as good on the entry as it is on the exit.
Yeah, especially too, like when you're shooting elk and you're slightly above that lateral center line on the ribs, where it's like that's the farthest out point on the rib cage.
Yeah.
Where if you're above that, you got internal cavity bleeding. So if you don't get that exit that's lower than that, that's usually where your blood trail is coming from. And so like you don't have any blood. So it's just all internal.
Yeah.
And so basically that's what I was dealing with, right? Like, because he did take a step forward to me. So I didn't have a miss range, but I was gapping, right? So I might have been like an inch, 2 inches higher than
and you're shooting a live animal. So
stuff's moving,
like,
and he
shit's
like
moving,
that bull
man.
was trying to do some Matrix shit on me. He was just like moving to the side, trying to turn away.
Well, and that's one thing with those Grim Reapers, which are fucking awesome. But like when they go out the other side, fuck man, like they make such a big opening that it's like a faucet. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a really good blood trail. But if they don't, it's a lot harder to. Because I've hit like even deer where it's gone through, quartering away, and it's gone through and hit the inside of his shoulder.
And that's what I think I did. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened, right? Like there was more tissue to travel through, so it hammered, and once it hit the fletchings, it stopped. And this was something like my dad's hunted lots, but it was old timey setups, like compounds when they're less powerful. And there was one thing that we were talking about is I think it's different when the animal is in motion. When you're shooting a static target with your arrow and it hits and they don't move, it's just you got so much more energy that's just going directed straight through that animal. But when they're in motion, how much of that energy is dissipated by their motion deflecting?
Well, and things are tighten up too, right?
Yeah.
Like you're moving through something that's tight.
And
like
you
if
got
you
tissue
flex your muscle,
moving.
If you flex your muscle and you were to try to jam something in a flex muscle, it's going to be a lot different than trying to just jam it in something that's soft.
Yeah. So that was something I was thinking about. I'm like, well, that's very true. I could have lost a little bit of energy because.
But still, with your bow, your arrow speed, I mean, that thing should be ripping through. I think most likely you hit the inside of a rib or hit his shoulder on the other side.
Yeah. So good hit. Felt good about it. I'm like, yeah, thought he's going to be down. And this is why I shoot those lighted knocks, is because like a beacon of hope, I could see that arrow right in the middle of the field. It fell out of him. Okay, I don't even need to track all this. I did some half-ass tracking just to put some waypoints down, and I beeline it straight for there. But I'm cautious because I know he could be in the trees because it was an opening. There's a corridor of trees, one high up and then one kind of down, kind of into like a creek bed, kind of like there's some topography. And then it kind of came up again into another hill that's kind of facing towards me. And it's all heavy trees. We're thick timber, dark timber, like crunchy shit. I go in there and I grab my arrow. I'm going towards my arrow. And all of a sudden, to my right, as I'm going to that arrow, I hear some noise. And I'm like, what the hell is sounded like, and it depends on like if you've heard this before, double lunging like a moose. Like really laboring. And I'm like, that sounds like I've heard that noise before when I've shot bull elk, where like if you hammer them and they got blood coming out of their mouth, and you basically got a collapsed lung, right? But I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, wonder if that's a fucking grizzly bear. Because it sounded a lot like a bear. I'm like, I don't know if I should go investigate that. I don't think I'm gonna like that. I'm gonna go there and there's gonna be a huge grizzly looking at me like, what are you doing here? But
why are you here?
I heard some stuff and I'm like, okay. So I just put a waypoint down there, like question mark. Heard some stuff. Maybe the bull hit that and then tried to go uphill and then he bedded down in there. Who knows? Okay.
It's dark now.
It's dark.
Yeah.
It's very dark. I'm not going in there. Like, it's not going to be productive. I'm either going to push the bull that I thought is in there,
Which
or
you don't want. That's the worst thing ever,
exactly.
is pushing it. Yeah.
So, okay. And that's the shitty part about this whole last light bullshit. It's so hard to retrieve unless you heart shot them and they're right in front of you. Even then, they go in the trees. It's so hard to see blood. You can't see shit. And I'm like kind of like with work, I'm using headlamps every day of my life at work. Like I'm like constantly confined spaces, dark spots. So I had like the highest level, like spelunking, like cave shit, Petzl, light. So I have this massive, like I got everything I need to find this blood trail.
I've done that so many times with mule deer, and like always seem that you're shooting mule deer in the evening because they're more active, and especially
and the wind's
like
stable, and the wind is nice and steady.
And especially
and
if you're hunting like closer towards the rut, it always seems that you're tracking them, and it's dark, and it fucking sucks.
It's just everything's harder. You like everything's harder, and I get to that arrow.
Well, and you lose like for me, I lose my like when it's daylight. Like I said, I use ribbons, but you can see hundreds of yards, like depending on your blood trail, where that, and you could basically tell like it's like a runway on an airport landing where it's just lit up, right? But once it's dark, you don't get that.
Like even where they run through grass, you can see
exactly. Even running through the bush, like you get into that heavy timber stuff, and you get a bit, you get a deer or an animal that's in panic mode running through that stuff. You can tell exactly where he's been running.
Yeah. And I immediately thought, I'm like, well, if he's running full tilt, and I've seen this before, they can run pretty far in 20 seconds.
Yeah, especially if he's bumped too, right?
Yeah. So put another indicator. I put a stake down where that arrow was, because there was blood there. Arrow looked good. Like it looked pristine. It was bright red at the head. Had a little bit of frothiness, not major, but there was some bubbles there.
Well, when you first sent me the picture that night, that's what instantly I was like, I even told you, I was like, fuck, dude, that looks like a good hit. It looks like most likely you probably hit the inside of his shoulder, but you definitely got one lung, if not two.
Yeah, just the way he turned, it reminded me of the bull I shot with my bow last year, where same thing, he kind of flinched. And
it's always easier and it is always easier for the guy sitting on the couch than the guy sitting in the field that's like, fuck, what was if this, what was if that, like, you know what I mean? Like when it's your animal and you just shot it, like eventually, unless he drops right in front of you or you see him crash, eventually you still have these lingering doubts, no matter what, how confident you were in your shot. You're like, well, fuck, because animals are tough, man. They can surprise the shit out of you,
man. Like with rifle,
and it's not a matter of fact that they're gonna die. It's just like you won't be able to retrieve them. Which sucks.
Like they'll cover too much terrain, and then you don't find them. And that's like everything I do. I was even like, everything we do as sportsmen, as bow hunters, it's all around that critical moment. But there's no taking that back. Once that arrow's gone, it's like, this is what it is.
Over. Yeah,
it's over.
Now you got to deal with it.
Yeah, you got to deal with the consequences of that, and that was going through my mind where I'm like, man, like I gave it my absolute all on this, like the stock, the calling, the position, the shot. I remember I really indexed my grip. I got my gloves off immediately because I like to have gloves to kind of protect my hand when I'm on thorns and shit, so you don't have to awkwardly crawl. And I remember I had everything, like that grip was perfect. I didn't torque the bow, nothing. I was perfectly aligned in my shot, perfect clean break. It was fast, but I practiced that. That's again, like we talk about these real life scenarios. Like as much as I practice, like, oh, nice floats and good form, I also practice fast shooting.
Oh yeah, and punching it sometimes too, where it's like
Yeah.
you need that control.
Yeah.
Like, and that's one thing I find is absolutely berserker when you talk to like Greg or like even Mark, and they're shooting hinges to hunt with. And it's like, fuck, dude, sometimes you need that thing to go off like right now. Boom. It
Yeah.
needs to like it
Yeah.
needs to leave right now. And like when you shoot a controlled release, like you have that ability where it's like, okay, no, I'm not worrying about like pulling through. Like it needs to go
Yeah.
now. So it's like bang.
Yeah. Man, there's just so many elements, and that's what was going through my head. I'm like, oh man, like I better find this bull. I'm not gonna find him tonight, though.
Well, I know like the next morning and I was like, oh, you're gonna find him. And you're like, fuck. And I've been there, man. I've been there lots of
Oh, yeah.
times. And the best is like it was around 10 o'clock and Pete's chirping you on our group text messages. And I knew I don't
This
think
is
you're in
not-
cell service, but I was like just chuckling to myself. And I was like, well, last I heard he had to go, he didn't find much blood, so he was going out after it.
Yeah, man.
I didn't
It
want to
was-
say anything. I was like, because you never know, right? Like,
Oh, it
it's
was
all fun
looking-
in games, but like,
well, this life
if you
and
don't
death.
find it, then it's
Yeah.
like, oh man, because like, it just
Yeah.
sucks.
It would be the
man.
worst feeling ever.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
like
it just sucks, and it happens, but it does happen. Like it's happened to me, man. It does happen where you know you do your best to make a clean, quick, ethical kill, and it doesn't work out that way, and you lose the animal. I mean, if you
There's
hunt
things you
long
can't
enough,
control.
yeah, if
You
you
do the
hunt
best
long
that you
enough,
can.
yeah, we do the best we can. That's why we practice as much as we do, and we
Yeah.
do all these things. But at the end of the day, I mean, shit happens, and it doesn't always
Yeah, it's
play
still
out
the real
how it's
world.
supposed to. Yeah, exactly.
Still the real world.
Yeah.
So I checked my arrow. It's looking great. Everything, like there's blood all the way up to the fletchings. Exactly what I seen. I wasn't seeing shit. Everything, there was no guts. So I'm like, this is a good hit. This is for sure. In my head, there's that. It's kind of like a little archery game, but it's a great app. It's that's what I sent you guys, that where it has the vitals and stuff.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
know what the fuck
I'm totally
that
gonna
was. I was
send you
like,
that. I'm totally gonna
okay.
send you that, and that is an elk or like deer, whatever. And as soon as I make a shot, I visualize in my head and I put in that app. Like after things calm down, obviously, not like while you're trying to kill, but and in there it shows you like from your perspective.
Right in the middle of your draw cycle. Oh, hold on a sec here. I gotta check.
Hold on,
your
I gotta
app
check
and
my
see.
vitals.
Can you turn just a little bit more? Here?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, but in
you're
all
sitting there with your
seriousness,
phone
it's
like
like-
this, looking at him, looking at your phone, being like, "No, you
All
gotta
right, we're
go."
good. You gotta go left.
Okay, well, hold right
Yeah.
there. Don't move. Right there.
But I do that because when you get that visual of how far, especially if you're far back, that's where I'm looking at that, where you think you're far back.
Oh yeah, I
And
see it now.
If you hit liver,
I wonder what the fuck you're sending us. It's like, what the fuck is this? Like,
Oh
where's
yeah,
the elk?
no,
Like,
And we were like, we want a
that's
picture
the
of
wrong.
the
Yeah,
damn
like
elk.
it's
like
it's really like because that was the best
I
way
thought you
that
were
I could
just being
show
a
you.
dick because we're like, well, let's see the pictures of the elk, and then you send that
A
picture
virtual
of like,
elk.
you're
Yeah,
a fucking
no,
I thought that
liar.
was
You
it.
didn't shoot an elk. I don't see a picture. Didn't
I think
happen.
it
playing
was
a video game.
I think it was Six Ranch because I've talked to him a couple times. I think Six Ranch, he did a post on that, and he was like, it's good practice for guys to really visualize, especially when he's a professional outfitter, so he brings a lot of guys on for hunting elk, and he does this for like the quartering away shots, and I really like it because it gives me that assurance that okay, from my perspective, this is where my arrow was hit that elk, and he was if he hard corners, like quartering away, that I'm confident on where my arrow is going. It gives me that like visual in my head. Okay, so I hit here. Okay, I definitely hit liver, but right lung. So it might not be a double lung. So that means I'm waiting 3 to 4 hours minimum. So, like that's why I do that, so that I have a visualization in my head, and then I know, okay, I got a good gauge on where I'm hitting. If I'm hitting diaphragm, I'm waiting 12 hours minimum. Diaphragm, liver, 12, 13 hours. Like I'm not going in for a long time unless I have a visual on that elk and I can see he's dead. Even a lung hit, like last year, I shot that bull, and it was a great shot. Smashed him, passed through, exited right out where his heart shot would be, like coming down and out. And I just remember him just being like hurt, laying down, and I had a visual. I backed out because I was dangerously close to him, like under 60 yards. And I remember I went back to my in reach, texted my wife and my dad, I'm gonna be a while, like bull down, but I know I'm gonna be waiting right till last light with binoculars on him, watching to see if he's alive. And that bull with that good of a shot, liver, diaphragm, liver, probably some veins, and right lung. I went back to him. He was on his feet, standing.
Oh, dude, I've hit
and
fucking
my goodness,
I've hit deer, and like that. You hit him in the morning, you give him all day. Like I've done this exact thing where I've like hit deer, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give him a good chunk, right? And then you see him still moving around. Like, okay, well, I'm gonna come back. Now it's 7-8 hours from the time you hit him, right? And then you bump him. And then you go back the next day in the morning and he's on his fucking feet and you're like, what the fuck? And then eventually he dies. You open him up and that exact same thing. You're like, well, this, like, it went through his lung. Like, it caught one lung. It sliced him right open. It's like, holy fuck.
You really have to be cautious of that single lung hit.
Yeah.
You really
well, and if it's
have
back
to be
too, right?
careful.
Like at the back end of those lungs, you get those. Like I've looked at those lungs, man. They got like a clear cut line right through them. But like we were talking before, man, like I shot this elk once and that fucker ran almost 200 feet. When I pulled his heart out, there was a perfect broadhead hole right through his heart. And it's not 200 feet, 200 yards.
Yeah.
He ran 200 yards and it was like, holy shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
tough. Now, luckily, he ran in a straight direction and I could hear him, like 200 yards, you can hear him crash, right? But still, like, it didn't go in there right away because you never know, right? Like he could stumble and fall. And I've done that with like bears where like you hear bears and you hear them crash. You give it an hour and you go in there, all of a sudden they jump up on their feet and they run away. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I've had that with moose like a lot. Like moose so much that I'm like hyper aware of this.
Now, like always, like having those bad experiences now, it's always like you go in there really quietly, right?
Yeah.
And usually I'll circle around too, and like the direction he was running, I'll try to get into that position first, right? Because normally they know trouble's behind them already. They're gonna run in the same direction that they were running when they either fell down or just stopped and laid down.
Yeah.
As long as you have the wind, though, you always want the wind at your back, not your face.
Yeah, because you don't want to bump them because you're sloppy with your wind or noise. So I'm like, as soon
noise
as I
is
make
huge
a shot,
too. You got to be noise, and like even if you can get up into like a little, like I've even gone halfway up trees and just glassed, like use my binoculars and just to see if you can get a visual on like antlers. If you see antlers and they're straight up, you know what I mean? Then like they're up, right?
Their heads up.
If he's sitting on the side and his antler looks like he's laying down, then it's a different story.
I had that last year where I could see him. He's laying, and he's just like he's trying to get up. Like, oh my God, just you're done,
fucking
man.
Die.
Please just peacefully die. Like I need you to. And it was getting to the point where I'm like, game plan. And I always pack heavy duty wool socks for this to take my boots off and just like as quiet as I possibly can. I'll put those huge wool socks over, and I'll just like creep like without boots and make another shot on them if I have to. I always have them just until you double as like if your feet get wet. But for that exact reason, and with this bowl though, there was no visual. I see my arrow. That's my last point. Put a stake on it. Put a waypoint on it. I glassed everything, but it's like pitch black. I'm hearing noise. I'm hearing weird noises to my right. Still sounded like heavy breathing.
This is in the morning?
This is at last light.
Oh, okay, last light. Okay.
Last light.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I'm not retrieving this bull tonight because of the amount of like how far he went. There's just too much risk. If I go in there, I'm gonna make a mistake, and I'm gonna bump him. I'm gonna back out. So I decided to back out. I'm like, because the way this shot was, it was a quartering away. It looked and felt good, but I know that if there's even a slight deflection, you're hitting straight liver, and that's not good. That's like definitely the morning. If I hit like right in the veins on like all the arteries and stuff going on in the liver, then yeah, okay, you might retrieve them within 2 hours. But again, I have 2 hour hike. So, okay, I can't see shit. I don't know what's going on. I know he was going this general direction. This is my last point. I checked for blood, 0 blood. Like I'm talking nothing. I back out. I think I slept maybe 15 minutes. I didn't sleep at all. I'm just sitting there.
Never do.
Just waiting to go.
Waiting for daylight.
Yeah. I think it was not good. I just was thinking, I was running through every situation in my head. I'm like, man, like did everything I thought, like everything in my power to do a good shot, a good stock, a good this. I'm like, frick. I did everything I could. Okay. Well, I can't do anything right now. Just going to rest because I might have to pack out a bowl. So I tried resting. I just did the whole like fake sleeping shit. I'm just laying, not sleeping whatsoever. Head back in the morning. I didn't go right at first light because I wanted to make sure that I can see everything as I'm entering that area. So I delayed my entry a little bit. So I'm not going in black because, you're hiking in there. And that was the direction he was going was where I was coming in. So I'm like, okay, I'll just wait till it's like 7:30 or around there. I head in and I got my shotgun and everything because there's bears everywhere in there. And I get up high. So that was my game plan. I'm like, I'm going to get up high. So I go up to this big bench and there's a good lookout in the whole valley. And I just start gridding, picking apart. And I'm looking for birds, looking for any sign of any type of activity. Nothing. There's some birds that are up on this bench. I'm like, okay, there's magpies up there. But they're just hanging around. They weren't really clustered anywhere. But I'm like, well, they obviously smell something. So I went out there and I gridded it out. When I did that, I'm looking, I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, it looks like a big black cow. Like, it looked like there's no cows that were in here. Like, most of them have been wrangled up. And I look over and it's 4 black bears together.
Like a sow with her 3 cubs or?
Nope.
Or just 3 cruising
like
together?
Mature
Weird.
bears in the same, like the way I was looking, it looked like a giant blob of black, but just a couple of bears in the same area together, like all together close. Really bizarre shit. I'm like, there's definitely a carcass up there. That's the first thing I thought.
Yeah, you thinking that they're on it.
Yeah, they're on it. So I'm like, okay. So I push them. You go up there, I push those bears. One of them was actually good. I might go back in there and get him. It was a good one. And then I start gridding that area, and I'm just like, okay, this is uphill. So it was kind of like his exit, but uphill. All right, well, I really got to dial in here and be very systematic. I don't want to miss anything. So set my GPS watch for track function, and then also because then I can run topography and it tracks my distance, and then I set it to the like a 50-meter tolerance. So I'm like, okay, If I'm 50 meters, that means that I have a coverage of 25 meters where I can glass 360 degrees. So that was my tactic. I systematically gridded out the area, the obvious spots where there was birds or the bears, where I would walk a section on like a certain elevation, 360 glass, 360 glass, move up 50 meters, 360 glass. And I follow the contours and I just like comb it systematically. And I put waypoints every time I was stopping, waypoint, waypoint, waypoint. That way I knew that my concentration of waypoints was correct. So if I needed to double check, I could just go in between those areas. Like kind of, oh, it was kind of sparse on this area. So I'll check it, double check it. And I just would glass all the timber, glass all the ground, move up. So I did that on the whole high area where those bears were. Nothing. Not a trace. All right. Well, I'm going to go back to my arrow, where my arrow was. And there's nothing.
And now you're a few hours from the time you got there.
Yeah.
Because I remember talking to you. I talked to you when you're on your way in, and then I talked to you, I think, a few hours later, and you're still...
Oh, the
River of Doubt. The River of Doubt was in the back of your head.
That was a lot more hiking. That when I texted you guys, I was on the opposite ridge, high up. We're talking like 20 to 30 kilometers worth of boots. Just like six. I figured, I'm like, if I can't find this bull within 600 to 800 yards, he's fucking gone. He's gone. Because the way the timber was, it was so thick that there is no way that if I fatally injured that bull enough to put him down and him to bed up, I was thinking in my head, I'm like, one of two things happened. Maybe I didn't hit him as hard as I thought, or didn't, like, I got good penetration, so I know I hit stuff. Or a bear pushed him on his feet at night, because there's bears all over in there, bumped him, and then now he's on his feet. But I would probably find his bed and then hopefully get some tracks. That was my only hope in hell if that's what happened. And there'd be some blood pooled down, and I would confirm that that's his bed and then track the rest of the way out as best as I could. But there's no trace of anything. So I'm like, okay. Well, I heard that noise because I had already checked my arrow for blood. There's no blood. There's blood where the arrow was. That's it. There's no blood anywhere. So I go down to where I heard the noise, the mystery noise. And it's a creek, kind of an indentation creek bed. I go down in there and I'm just looking around. There's nothing. But there's deep, fresh elk tracks. I'm like, holy frick. So I better investigate this. So I tracked those tracks and I tracked them all the way to the back section because I had gridded out a border of what I was going to search. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go up and I'm going to just 50 yards up, 360 degree, 50 yards up, 360 degree. And I'm looking as far as I can in the timber because you just scan quick with your eyes and then scan the timber as far as you can with your binoculars set to that parallax. So you can just scan. And I was just going up and I shot across a box of where that was. Of like, okay, I'm going to go straight up and I'll go straight across and I'll straight come down and then I'll just walk that section and I'll do it in grids just of the plausible directions of travel. So I had two ideas. I'm like, well, he either hit that creek bed because I've done this before with mule deer where I hit them super hard, but I'm entering in through the guts. And that arrow had no guts, but still, it's a quartering away shot and I hit through the guts. And they're bleeding to death, but they get an insatiable thirst where they get real hot and I've seen them eat dirt. Like this one, just a dirt eater. I hit him super hard. He should have died like right away. And he started eating dirt.
Oh,
like
dude,
insane amounts of dirt.
I hit a deer once in the stomach. And I found him sitting on the riverbank, fucking eating the sand, the wet sand, like just fucking eating it.
Yeah.
Like I was like, holy fuck,
crazy.
Buddy. Like move your head like 10 inches up and you get the water. Like,
oh man,
but eating it, not like sucking on it and spitting it out, like
eating dirt, eating it. Yep, I've seen that
crazy.
too, lots. And so I'm thinking like, okay, if I hit him hard and there's hit him back a little, He's going to be near that water. He's going to love that water. He's going to be near it. He's going to be eating dirt, and he's going to be drinking water, and he's going to feel like a real intense fever because they get kind of like a hot, like they start acting like they're sick. And he'll probably be laying down on his side or something like that. I'm like, okay. So then now I'm like, okay, so I know he either went towards the noise and he went up, but the noise went to my right. So I know I'm like, okay. So he went, that noise went kind of southwest. So I made that noise direction and I covered that grid. I also did the creek bed, went up. And so like following the topography of that creek bed, because I knew like that's easy travel. Like he's not going to want to go uphill potentially, but I've had bulls do that when I hit them, when I arrow them, but that was obvious. It's easy and it's cool. And then I gridded, and that's when I called you because I had already done 20 kilometers where I hiked up to like fence lines high up, like as far as I could plausibly think. And some of these areas, and my dad's hunted those areas on horseback pretty heavily, and he had warned me about some of these areas where it's like if an animal gets hit really bad, and they know about because they're hunting in the snow, and they'll find other people's blood trails, and they'll get on them to see like if they can track this animal. And that's like where we were talking about, like when they're hit and they're leaving a blood trail. Well, they're zigzagging, they're doing circles, they're going in the thickest timber, so thick you can't even open your eyes. They'll poking your eyeballs out, and then they're coming out of it, and then they're doing laps and circles and wandering because it's impassable. So that's why this was in there, like just nasty, terrible. So I'm walking through. I'm just trying to keep my bow from being shredded. I think I need a new string now, but. So I'm gridding it out, and some of those areas is like tall buckbrush where like a bull could just shove himself in there and you'd never know. Like kind of like moose terrain, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just gridding it, and I had to do really, really tight, just like go this way, come back, come back, come back, come back, like tons and tons of walking. And I'll send you my waypoints. It's fucking crazy. And a lot of that was too like to give myself the confidence in my mind that like I'm doing absolutely everything I can to retrieve this bull, like within reasonable, like without crazy person level, like hiking 10K or whatever uphill. Like this is the zone where if I hit him where I think I did, I'm going to find
He's
him.
going to be in here. Yeah.
He's going to be in here. And so but it was getting hopeless because there was no tracks, no blood sign. And at that point, I like all plausible directions I had so thoroughly covered with glassing. Like I said, 50 yards, glass 360. I did, like, I'm not joking, probably like 150 of those. Like just crazy. So I'm feeling a little defeated. When I text you guys, I was at the top of the hill. I'm like, I'm in the dumps, man. I'm like, man, like if I lose this bull, like I don't know if I can continue archery like this, like for the next week, like this season. Like I'm kind of like I need a break. Like if I kill a bull, and that was a fatal shot, I was 100% like I smoked him. I hit him hard. Like if I don't retrieve this bull, like I feel like the biggest asshole here. Like what the hell am I doing? Like this is crazy. Like it wasn't like a risky shot. It wasn't like some Hail Mary. It was like slam dunk. I got you.
Well,
like, you're not
and that's
away.
the thing to remember too, is like when you're doing this, there is no guarantees. There is no slam dunks. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I've shot animals, at 70 yards, and they, shot was a little high, but the animal drops instantly. Bang, drops dead. Right? Walk up
30
to it,
yards, and then you take off.
Put another arrow into it, and 30 yards, and they take off, and you're tracking them.
Yeah.
So there is no guarantees, but at the same time, like, you have to take those shots. Like you have to, like you if you're gonna sit around and wait for the perfect shot, it's
never gonna happen.
It's never gonna happen, or you're only gonna get one or two shots, every 10 years while you're waiting for it to happen. So, I mean, there really is no perfect.
No,
perfect
and I go for it, but I'm also patient with my shot selection. I know the limitations of my broadhead and my setup and my shot, but like I'm shooting 75 pounds. Like this this is a no brainer.
Well, and that's what I was saying, like with your arrow and your arrow speed and your setup, like I think you just hit the inside of a far shoulder.
Yeah.
And that's what
so
stopped your
like
arrow,
I'm
'cause there's no
shooting
reason our arrow.
290. I think it's about 290.
Well, and the poundage too, right? Like you're shooting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, shooting like a 460 grain arrow at 290 feet.
Yeah, and you're shooting it, and it was
460,
45 yards. So I mean, that's more than enough for a pass.
Yeah,
through.
like I've had pass throughs all the time. That's why I like it. Like we said, like I hit some serious muscle in that shoulder. That's where I was aiming.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're ever taking hard quartering away shots, always make sure you understand where that far shoulder is and shoot through ribs to that far shoulder, because you're gonna hit vitals. That's where I'm always making sure my mind is focusing on where that opposite shoulder is on a quartering away, so that I'm not going too far back on ribs and not getting into the vitals. Because if you're not careful, you'll just graze the vitals and you'll get nothing but shoulder, and it'll come out the chest.
Well, and that's one important part of like understanding, like even when you're shooting on a tree stand, like I don't want to get going down this rabbit hole because I want to hear the rest of your story. But I mean, just understanding angles, lung placement in deer, bears, especially if you're hunting bears out of a tree stand, you know, their lungs are a little higher. So if they're if you're close, your angle of your arrow, it might just catch the bottom side of the first lung and miss the second one. So, but anyway.
So it's looking bleak. I had hiked and hiked and hiked and hiked, and I'm just, I'm in the dumps. The more animals I've gotten, the more respect I have, because I'm working my ass off. I'm doing 15-hour days. I'm doing 30K a day. Like I'm going as far as I possibly can humanly handle. And here I'm talking about potentially not retrieving this ball. And I just couldn't fathom it. I'm just like, man, like, get it together. Fucking go hard. Don't start like feeling sorry for the situation. Get control and have another plan. He's not here. Like, I'm confident. I was just like, in my head, I'm like, I text you guys, I'm like, it's not looking good. Chance of retrieval, it's looking lower and lower. But that's just because I had gone like 20 freaking kilometers. But I didn't go that far, but it's just like you're zigzagging, you're moving around, like you're beat up, beat to shit. And I'm just thinking, and I even called my dad, and he was like, you got to get back on the track. You got to figure out some way to figure out, like, can you locate a track, anything track? Because there's no blood. So we're going back to track. And I was thinking, I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I cover the high. I cover that sound in that area. I cover that entire ravine. I'm going to go back to the drawing board. I'm going to go back to my arrow, last blood. And I'm going to start doing laps.
Like circles.
Yeah, like around that arrow.
Yeah.
In the direction of, like, I have my zone of travel, and I'm going to go like 270 degrees until I find some sort of trace of direction. Even if it's the slightest trace. And so I like even like got my eyes like 6-7 inches from every little leaf to like really look at the leaves, because there was no blood. Like, there's got to be some trace though. So I go out and I'm just really diligent looking, and like I texted you guys, I see a nanoparticle, the tiniest little piece of blood, looked like dried blood, going forward. And it, like, so subtle that there was no tracks, there was no nothing, there was just something. It looked, and it smeared like dry blood. And I knew I didn't walk over there with that arrow. I backed out and then walked out to the side. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, he ran straight. He had to have ran straight. That noise wasn't him. He didn't beeline it to the right, even though those bulls, when they were doing those escape routes, they kept going to the right and going up the hills and going up the draws, get out of Dodge. I'm like, he went straight. It's downhill. I already checked the high. I already did that. That's where those bears were. He's got to be down in there. There's no way that he didn't go there. Now that I know that, I just thought, I'm like, if I was an elk, like, and I know them well enough and how they travel, I'm like, he's got to be right there. There's no other way that he can't be over there. I start walking down there, and fucking sure as shit, he's piled up in a shadow right in there. You know, you want to talk about going from zero to hero in one fucking second. I'm like,
I love the
this
first,
is,
but like I've been in that situation. Like, why the fuck didn't I just do that like 4 hours ago?
oh yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Like,
I'm like,
fuck me, man. Like,
it's
why didn't I?
1:30.
Fuck, he's right there.
I'm so banged up mentally, physically, and I still gotta pack out an elk.
A few
Hadn't
kilometers.
slept. Hadn't slept. You know, as the crow
Yeah,
flies,
but
we're talking
by this
3K.
time though, the elation, fuck, you get a whole new.
Oh yeah. Oh man,
everything's
like
you're good to go, and you're young
Oh.
too. It's not like you're Pete fucking
Fuck.
pulling that out of there. Pete can't see. Fuck, he'd be a real mess.
I've never been
Holy
so
shit.
happy to see an elk in my life. Let's just put it that way. Not only because, you know, the whole time I was thinking, I'm just like, there's this like giant ticking clock where it's like meat going bad, meat, because it was
Yeah.
hot as shit.
Well,
And I was
yeah,
just thinking to myself, I'm like, you know,
and it's funny you say that too, because like, Mike was on last episode, and fuck, we had this exact same conversation of an elk I shot last year, and like, it was not very long, and it was so hot that it spoiled. So luckily for you, it all worked out.
and it was super cold. That's the thing that I was like, if it was a very good shot and it was fatal, and it was, the cold, like, it was a north wind that night, real cold. I was like, oh my God, thank goodness. At least that gives me some time before it starts peaking out at 19 degrees, 18, 20 degrees in the afternoon. And by that time, it was like 1 o'clock. No birds. Bears didn't mess with him. And he didn't run. He ran far enough that I wouldn't have picked him up right away, like in that area I was searching. But I wasn't like giving up, but I was just giving up on that area. I'm like, he's not there. Like, there's no freaking way. So that's why I went down this other area in the direction of travel, and just kind of like did an arch and veered off. Because I'm like, he probably, I honestly, I looked at where that direction of travel was and just looked exactly where I was on that ridge, and then kind of just drew a straight line from that straight into the trees and maybe arch it towards the trees a little bit more. And I'm not joking, I walked directly to that bull. Like right there. Like there was no searching, no gritting. Like I just like walked in there, boom, he's right there.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like and as soon as that happens, once you get over the fact, like, fucking rights, I found him. You're like,
fuck yeah,
look
king
back
of the world,
and like,
man.
why the fuck did I just?
Oh yeah,
keep walking.
Yeah, king of the world. That's what I felt like.
Oh yeah,
and just amazing feeling, you know, with the stock and the calls and just all the work putting into them. And
yeah, well, once you're home and like you're in the seat you are now, it's like I wouldn't change his name.
Man, I took some quick pictures, and I was just like, oh, here we go. I put my knife in there, and I like to shove my hand right up on the neck, because that's like a real good temperature gauge. I found that's because it's so built up, especially on big bulls. You stick your hand in there, you get a good determination of how hot that meat is and how hot that bull is. And you're like, oh, it was hot at the neck, but then I felt down the backstrap, completely cooled down, which was amazing. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, that's one good thing about like shooting a bull in the evening rather than the morning. I mean, that is one positive part of it.
Cooling down right away.
Starts cooling down.
And oh my God, man. Like I have never been so excited to see a bull. I cannot, there's no words to describe how happy I was that not only I got it done with a bow, is multiple years in a row. There's a lot of pressure on a guy once you become successful to like not get lazy with everything, because you think, oh, I'll just get a bull. Well, no, you know how hard you had to work to get your first bull. Like, you're gonna have to continue working just as hard, or if not harder, to keep getting that success. You have all experience behind you, but it's just a lot of pressure. And then to arrow a bull, and then having the tracking, like, man, my tracking is a lot better than it was, and I still was having difficulty with this. And it's just like, man, it really emphasizes to me that lateral line or getting pass-throughs.
Well, and not giving up either,
game.
right? Like just keep going. Like we talked about after when you had it home, like, man, I've shot deer and then like find the speck of blood like so far away from where you hit it, and the animal just be right there. And you're like, fuck, thank God. But like just to find that one single track of that one drop of blood.
That's all it takes.
So aggravating and so hard. But when you find it, it's like it's right there.
Man, I was going into a place where I'm like talking to God. Please, please, anything just to save this meat. I had no doubt I was eventually going to find him. I had already gotten to my head. I told my wife, I'm like, I'm prepared to put 4 days on this, just so you're aware of this. Like, I will find that bull. I don't care how far it is. I will find this bull.
Just so you're aware, babe.
I will do whatever.
4 fucking days. I'm gone.
Yeah, but I'm like, but the meat, like, I need to be like, you can't give up. You got to keep going hard until last night, as far as you can.
And it, like, even we were talking about, like, I remember, I don't know, a couple years ago when I shot that deer, that broadhead didn't open, and like, I knew I lost the meat, but I still went back multiple times to go see if I could find that deer, and I found him. Like, but I mean, obviously by that time it was too late. The coyotes got to him, but still, right? You want to know, right?
Well, and two, I thought, I'm like, I cannot leave him overnight. If I leave him overnight again, 100%, I'm dealing with bears. The bears will completely rip that.
Well, yeah, once the crows start circling and they start getting on him, then it attracts the bears, and then
I broke him down pretty quick. He piled into like some trees, laying on a trail. Pretty easy retrieval, good flat ground, which is, man, that's a hell of a lot different. The last bull I did, he was on like a steep bench, and I had to like anchor him with paracord so he would stop sliding down the hill, and it just was not good. But this guy, it was nice flat ground. Was able to move him around a little bit to turn him so I could, not have any blood spoiling, anything like that. And I tarped everything out, and I think I had him broken down. I don't know. It took me like an hour and a half, I think. Hour and a half. It was quick. I was moving quick because of that meat, right? No spoilage. There was a little bit right on his hind where it hits the pelvic bone that was a little iffy. So I just
on the side that was on the ground?
No, on the top side.
It's hard.
A little bit. It was weird, but there was a lot of like trauma in there, like blood.
Oh yeah.
Not like from the arrow, obviously, but
maybe from wrestling around with other bulls, could be. Possibly. I've seen that too in deer and stuff around the rut.
So yeah, broke him down, and I sent you guys my little video. Do you guys watch that of like where I hit him? I double lunged him. It was a direct hit. It was on Instagram.
No, it didn't come through. That's what I was saying. I didn't see
it. Yeah, I sent it. You'll have to see. But anyway, there's like a hole that big right through him. Like huge hole, entry hit.
I got you standing on a scale you sent me.
Oh yeah, that's how much weight I lost.
What do you weigh in at now?
222.
I thought he was just trying to send us foot shots. That's all.
I need that hunt money. I need that hunt money, Pete. Is that
low? So like, because I remember you were saying
broadheads,
like 240 or something before, weren't you? What were when you were here? When you were in Kelowna, what were you?
240. Yeah.
What do you weigh, Pete?
Hovering right around 200.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm down to 222.
Gotcha.
Yeah, from all the hiking and just covering terrain and tracking elk.
Yeah.
Losing sleep.
Shed some water.
Yeah. And I got that bull broken down quick, and I did investigate what happened with the hit. It was a perfect hit. It was I couldn't have shot it better. It was I center punched him. I could have shot like a hit a little lower, but
like I was saying though, like with those Grim Reapers, man, when the broadhead exits, you get such a good opening that it's just like you get awesome blood trail.
Yeah.
But when they don't, I mean, they're not. I don't feel like, because like they expand upon impact. I almost
Mhm.
feel like the arrow is already in a fair ways before it starts to actually fully open. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
it's not getting the where it goes into the animal. Whereas like if you're just shooting like a 1 inch, I don't know, pick a broadhead, whatever, right? Like say you're shooting iron will, you're gonna get
Yeah.
that cut mark instantly once it hits skin. Whereas like a
Yeah, the cut on
mechanical,
contact. Yeah.
yeah, the mechanical, it actually goes into the animal and it
Yeah.
starts opening up on impact, but it has arrow speed, right? Trajectory. So it's actually inside the animal when it actually becomes fully open.
But you're
Yeah.
using the fixed blades, though, aren't you? The 3-blade fixed.
I'm
The eight-
using both.
the
I
eights?
this one I used the Grim Reaper Razor Cut 1 and 3/8.
Yeah.
But I do have the Micro Hades with me, but this one I used that. And I center punched his rib. Hey, that's I lost quite a bit of energy, I think, because I smashed his rib right in the center. And usually that's not really a big issue, but the exit I hit hide and didn't pierce through.
Yeah.
Like just barely. But that's because I was already like kind of quartering away and buried to the veins, right? Like the arrow slowed down once I hit the veins. And I've seen that, like I shot another elk like that, where it's like it's buried in there, just peeking out the opposite side, broadside at 30 yards. And the knock is right at the skin. It's just the way it goes sometimes, right? But yeah, beautiful bull, nice wide, 5x5, turned to like the 5x5 killer. That's like I shot a good one, a 6x7, 2021, but it's all 5 points. It's just that
Bull's
I
a
think,
bull. I
yeah,
wish we had
exactly.
that
Yeah.
5-point rule here because there's one 5-point I'd love to take down, but
We've
he'll
got a
probably
ton
die
of
of
them
old
here.
age.
Yeah. Great bull. He's wide. He's mature. He's heavy. He was heavy packing out. Took a couple
So
trips solo. Hey, so just shuttled the meat out of there, and I had it hanging in a tree. Got it broken down. I did run a knife to the bone on the hinds to make sure I dump all that bone heat. Get it in the shade. I drug the carcass away just in case I double back and there's bears. And
you got a
but
bear
yeah,
tag?
yeah.
Is that baiting bears if they're on your kill?
I
You
don't
shoot
think
one?
so. I'm not sitting it. I'm trying to get my meat. If I gotta defend my meat and I got a tag, like I don't think that constitutes baiting.
I don't think in that situation it would. I think
No,
if you went
but
back a couple days later knowing the carcass was there and you're
yeah,
sitting it,
yeah.
that'd be different. But
Yeah, and that's truthfully why, like, I do go out in spring to hunt bears, but typically I like having that tag. Like, it better be a real big one if I'm going to shoot them in spring because I want that backup. So if I do have to shoot a bear that's on my kill, that's a black bear, then I have a tag, and there's no issues. There's no
Ethical.
disputing anything. It's
Well, not
completely
that it's
ethical.
not, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, so yeah, he's a good bull. He's wide. He's got good mass. He's got a broken off front, but packed him out. It only took me a few hours. It was a hell of a pack out, but it wasn't crazy. I had water this time. I wasn't dying of thirst. It was good. I just shuttled the meat, just took it in stages. A lot of it was downhill, so I just started huffing it, and yeah, I think I was back by I think like 7 or 8, 7 or 8.
nice.
Yeah, it was really good.
Beauty.
It was solo.
Good job,
yeah.
buddy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
Congrats.
Thank you.
You betcha.
It you try to put together a hunt plan every year. It's just nice that it actually works, as you thought. And
Yeah. It's never exactly as you thought. It never
Yeah.
plays out like when shit plays out in my head, it's like it's banging. It's like, oh yeah, fuck,
Yeah.
just like go get it done. It's perfect. But
talk about the highs and lows of hunting, though. This whole
that's what makes it
everything.
fun though, right? That's what
Yeah.
makes it awesome.
It reminded me so much of like not so much when I was learning, but I was really getting into like elk action, like where they're bugling them and they're returning calls. Kind of reinvigorates that kind of I
Well,
wouldn't
and
say
that's
curiosity, but just perseverance to like.
yeah.
It's not
And
like
the thing, we're never done learning, don't you know what I mean? And
No.
that's the cool thing. That's the cool thing
Yeah.
about this is like we're never really done. As much as you think like some days you get cocky, and I know I said this on the show before, but like a couple years ago, man, I was on such a roll and like had this really nice 4-point coming into my rattle, and I just shot over top of him. But that was the best thing that happened, because like if I would have shot that deer, it would have just been like, fuck, this is too easy. You need that to like just reset and be like, this is what I love doing. Like this is the chase, all of it, right? Like it's just
And I could not have thought up a better hunt. That's like it's just like with my mule deer I shot and I had the kids with me. I'm like, some stuff is just kind of like it's meant to be.
Well, and those firsts are cool too, and that's why I love hunting with Wyatt, because like everything that kid does is always a first, and it's just super exciting, right? Like,
it's awesome.
You're going through all these like mistakes, and I'm just sitting there watching him, like, why are you doing that? Don't do that. Don't do this. And it's like he's got to fucking learn himself. Like, just shut your mouth and watch. And like when he comes back, tell him what say, next time you can do this, you can do that, but you don't really hold value to it. Like, it doesn't hit as hard when you're hunting. Those misses and stuff, that's what makes you successful. It's not like your successes don't really make you successful. It's your failures.
Yeah, and you know what? That's like, you look at someone who's a master at someone or at something, and someone that really has put a lot of work into stuff. It's that those failures are a master's rite to passage. You don't get to being good at hunting and killing elk by doing everything right. You're doing everything wrong. You're making so many mistakes that's what drives you to try and do better. Like, yes, I've shot 8 elk in a row now. It goes your head. You think you're good. You're not. You still need to be sharp. That's where you're getting sloppy. Like, oh, I didn't glass this area and then I blew up an elk.
Yeah, well, you get complacent, right? And that goes for everything in life too, man. Like, you're never fully done. But you're right, though. That's the failures are what make you successful, for sure.
Yeah, and just being humble about it. Like, okay, that doesn't mean shit. I went into the season being like, I did that. Yeah, none of that matters. This is season.
Yeah, what happened last?
None of that matters.
Well, exactly. It's like everything.
Am I shooting?
Like, what happened yesterday doesn't make a fucking difference.
It doesn't matter. And that's the thing. Like, even with some of my buddies, it's like, like you're going into your third stock. It's like, don't get sloppy. Because I've had that with mule deer, where you're not in the right mindset. You're sloppy. You're not doing everything you're supposed to do, and you keep blowing up deer. And then eventually you figure out, you're like, oh, I have to like do this exactly. Like, I have to have cover. I have to do this. I have to be completely silent, like obsessively levels. I think experience just helps you get into that mode quicker.
Yeah.
But if you don't respect that and the process, you won't have that success. And it doesn't matter how many elk.
What the real fuck around is when you do everything right and it still doesn't work, and you're like, fuck me.
But that to me, that's, I can deal with that, because that is doing my out of all the success things in the equation. Like, anytime I tell someone how to hunt elk, I'm like, hey, well, what's the percentage of the zone? Like, it's 10%. This zone I shot was like, it's like 5%. I've shot them in like 1%. That means that I have to account for and plan for 10 years of the average person hunting. That's where I'm in my head. It could happen day 1. It could happen day 10. If the average guy only hunts a week and he only kills an elk, or you only say, like, the average guy, like the majority of the population, they go out once or twice, maybe a weekend. That means I have to do 10 of those.
Yeah.
In my head,
season.
to 100. To 100% give me enough time to get it done, or be prepared to push that hard. That's all that equation is in my head. It could happen day 1. It could happen day 14. It doesn't matter, whatever it takes. I have to be prepared to do whatever it takes, go wherever I have to. It doesn't matter how far it is. Go everywhere that no one else is tough enough to go. Stick to it and grind it. And as soon as you get that success, it's just a process. It's a matter of time. I literally texted my buddy like the day before. I'm like, yeah, I'll kill a bull in a day or 2. I know how much work I have to put into to get success. If you're seeing elk, It's only a matter of time. You just grind it out.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It, like, out of all of it, it's like, who can get the most animals or the biggest animals? It's usually the guy that can handle and withstand a shit ton of suffering with us.
Well, and that's what it is too. And I say that all the time too. I'm like,
Punishment.
if I go into a place and I know there's a legal bull in there, I guarantee you, like, I don't guarantee you, but I'm pretty confident that I'm going to kill it, only because I'll just not going to quit. I'm just going to go in there every day until like every possible day. Obviously, I mean, obviously eventually you're going to run out of days, but I'll do everything I can in my power to get it done with those days. Well, buddy, good job on antelope.
Thanks, man. Yeah, antelope. Might go out for a bear with the kids and stuff, but yeah, it'll be antelope, and then maybe some late season whitetail action. We'll see. When I'm scouting for antelope, there is a general mule deer in there, so I might get a little sidetracked. But yeah, there's definitely some stuff on the horizon. But yeah, man, talk about a roller coaster.
Yeah, no,
That's what it's all about.
I knew you were gonna find it. I told you that day. I was like, you're gonna find it. I know you're gonna find
it. And that's what it's about. That's what the fun's about. The roller coaster, man. Those highs and those lows, and then you get back on that high. Oh man. Now I got the stories to tell the kids, you know, grandkids and shit. So
yeah,
what it's all about.
All right, guys, we'll wrap it up.
You betcha.
Hell of a job. Okay. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Gear up for the hunt and learn from the best with Deer and Deer Hunting Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern on Waypoint TV. Tune in every week for expert hunting tips and unforgettable moments in the field. Waypoint TV, your destination for outdoor entertainment.